That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
Dumb. I'm here.
That's bullshit.
Well, hello, everyone, and let's kick off a fun Tuesday night on the off-topic, not topic of ball pythons. But before we get any further, let's talk about this screen up. For all you audio listeners, this one's for you. Warning, the views and comments expressed in this episode by the host and or guest in no way reflect the sponsor's direct opinions or their beliefs. This is an entertainment and education with a zero tolerance on hate speech. This is also not financial advice. All investments should be researched by you before you make them. And please, by all means, if you have any other concerns, share them in the comments. Thanks a lot, guys. Nice to see you tonight. Only 16 people in the chat. I'm going to let it stack up a little bit more. And I'm going to go through the sponsors with a new StreamYard feature that doesn't feature my link bar across the top. It's very cool. It's a little bit more switching back and forth with tabs, but it's actually very neat. So it's much cleaner. Oh, let's just go widescreen like that. Really make it nice. So, all right, reptiles2u.com. I'm going to talk to them about maybe giving us some more stuff for you guys for the month of Feb. I don't have a off-topic Tuesday planned for next week, I don't believe. Let's see. I wouldn't mind having someone step up to the plate for that. So maybe I'll swing out to Debbie Price, Reptiles to You, and see if she can do a podcast next Tuesday on her experience of the shipping game. So check out reptiles2u.com for what I think is the best service in the business. I love Debbie to death. Buy all my supplies now for shipping and all of my shipments from them. So check them out. All right. Next up. There we go. MORPH Market. It's kind of neat. I just kind of click over. It's cool. All right. So morphmarket.com. We love them. They like us, kind of. I don't know. He tolerates me. I think he tolerates me as a host. I'm not really sure. I think he's got a lot of other people out there doing a hell of a professional job. Fat Man does a great job of showing off this site and all of its features. So I am here to tell you that I am a user, not an abuser. I use this site every day to make part of my living for Exotics by Nature. And I'll get to that page in just a minute. So check out morphmarket.com, guys. If you don't have a page already for your business, you should check it out. You should definitely do it. C-SERPENTS, rack systems, incubators, and other supplies. There's a show listing here. There's all kind of other night. Oh, see, I forgot to share the tab. There we go. See, I'm already making bad mistakes with my new feature. There we go. Look, here's C-SERPENTS. It's so much prettier to look at it all on the whole page. Or maybe we can just stick it off to the side again. All right, Exotics by Nature on MORPH Market. Here we are. So check me out. Lots and lots and lots of fun stuff. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to pull that up so you can read. You can read. Let's see. And yeah, I agree. Wayne and Alice, you definitely have a shipping episode. So yeah, Exotics by Nature on MORPH Market. Check us out. I've got still a good bit, 173 listings. Sales have been come to a halt. So I guess I got to go in there and drop my prices to compete with the rest of the community, at least the corn snake community. Check us out. usarc.org. I've got signs. I've been making signs. I've got 20 MDF signs. So they're okay. So they're not painted. All right. They're not painted. This is one that I have done already that was painted. That was just a sample. Shows you guys how pretty it is. This is just with little Krylon action. Whatever. Just rattle can action. And, it's going to be awesome. So check it out. I'll have it out on the site here in the next week. We'll have the first shipments going out this week. I've got a stack of 20 of these MDF ones. I went to Lowe's yesterday and rated all the decent pieces of oak for the oaks. So this is an oak stained one. I'm not a fan of the oak stained. Like, I know it probably looks fucking great on camera right now, like in this video. I mean, even though I don't have, like, I'm so professional here tonight. I was burning. You'll love this sign I was burning, guys. Look, I'm going to show you this. All right. This is completely, I hate to keep Ben just waiting, but this is a great sign I was burning. This is why I'm so late and unprepared. Look at this sign. You'll love it. I'm going to hang these signs up on the wall in the studio, right above the screen, so that you see like tips on how to podcast. And this is the first one going up for all of you wonderful people in the comments that keep telling me how sick you are of me interrupting. I'm going to have a fucking sign on the wall to tell me to shut the absolute fuck up. It's going to be great. All right, let me switch my lights here so that you can at least see these signs with a little more glory. Woo, that one's bright. All right, there we go. That's how I like it. Where I'm nice and colorful. All right, so here's the oak, right? So oak wood stain. I mean, it's cool, but it doesn't really show up all that well. It doesn't really pop. It does have a very like hunter cabin style look to it, like with the black stain and the regular stain and stuff. So when it comes to finish options, you guys are going to kind of be fucked because, I really don't want to do a lot of finish work. It does definitely suck. So we are going to try to raise money for US ARC. So you guys DM me, PM me, IM me directly. Get with me on these signs. If you have a YouTube channel, the reason I made these signs, that I'm making these signs, is for you YouTubers. The basic MDF spray paint yourself kit is going to be $85 shipped. The fully furnished colored painted ones in MDF will probably be around 100. The oak and maple ones will probably be around 125 that are completely finished. So an unfinished one's going to Ireland, I believe, as I read in the comments. All right, so more on to the sponsors. Bravo Zulu, thank you very much for being a sponsor of the Bullshit Podcast. Check them out, Instagram.com/Bravo Zulu Ball Pythons. Ectothermic Dungeon, samesies. Ectothermic Dungeon on Instagram. And these guys are all on MORPH Market as well, as long as they've got animals for sale. Infinite Possible Pythons. Nathan, good to talk to you all the time, man. You're a great person to have in my chats privately. Definitely a good helper, a good advisor, if you will. Check out Nathan for more than just ball pythons, because he does promo stuff like t-shirts and other things like that. So we're going to work with him on the Bullshit t-shirt line coming up soon. John Woodruff from MADRIVER, always a good supporter as well. God, dude, you buy a lot of stickers. You sticker a lot of tubs. If anybody ever buys racks from you, they are going to be busy people, or they're going to have their water bowls at the back. I think they'll probably just have their water bowls in the back. I don't think they're going to tear off that many fucking stickers, bro. But it's always good to see you repping a brand, because it looks pretty all the time with the rugs and the you guys with the floor logos and shit. Speaking of floor logos, I got Gomez Python's t-shirt on. Sal Gomez. They got a floor decal. It looks super cool. Reptile Collective. Where are you? There we go. Beamer. He took a break from the building shares to go to a reptile show and make some money to fund that sucker. Look at this cool looking paradox, huh? This is really neat looking, right? So yeah, Skittles. Oh, that was Skittles as a baby. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, wow, you did it again, bro. Like another 35K coming your way. That would be sick. Savage Constrictors are on the way out as a sponsor, but their tattoo shop is in as a sponsor starting the 1st of February. I got to get the art up for all that. All right, Strange, last man on the list of sponsors. Thank you very much for being such a wonderful sponsor and friend too. You know, like having people in my corner like these guys. Whew! I tell you what, it makes the job a lot easier to continue to do the Bullshit Podcast, just like these people are reading below. My Patreon sponsors at patreon.com/BALLSHT. T. It's right down there in the bottom corner at the very last one with the red P on it, if you want to go check it out. And now I'm going to bring on my guest, Mr. Ben Quintana. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm great. I'm great. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go through my comments real quick and announce some of these early bird people that were in the chat, even though the chat's rolling right along. So CRM, it's good to see you coming in tonight. Thanks a lot, Will. Sorry I was a couple minutes late and you could have washed a few more tubs. We were just yakking about current events. Isopod Mania, Ben, 100% PCF Funny Royals. I agree. This man is the man when it comes to isopods. And I think that we're going to get into a little bit of that tonight where we can explain to you just how involved he is in these little fucking pill bugs and where they come into play. You know, if you're a pill bug pusher, bro, like you know what I'm saying? Like that's it. You're a pill bug pusher. You should totally have a pill bug pusher shirt on, like a vial with like a little counter with like somebody counting off, you know, isopods for real.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, it's totally marketable, right? At this day and age. I mean, if I'm telling you, you'll be featured in the next with that crazy video game where you can like rape someone and beat them and take their money. The drive, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you could be like you featured in that. Isopods, these the pill bug pushers on the corner selling pill bugs to the kids. Yep. See a serpent Stan. Good to have you always. Strange Creations. Thank you for being a sponsor. I just did all that. Who else we got? These guys were carrying on themselves. Luch Carlucci. What a name. I hope your name really is Luch. That's a fucking great name. Hunter Castro. Good to see some new names in here. Oh my, great surprise. I just fumbled on. I hope you're right. Jason Earl, good to have you in here. Always a good supporter here lately of the show. Texas Kids, Quirky. Colin Schumark, the disclaimer. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just for you Australians, you know, you sensitive Australians on the outback, about the most least sensitive fucking people of the earth. Really. I don't really know. They're like, because they were all prisoners originally. We're all bad people originally. So why should we judge, you know, lest we be judged? Conan, thank you for being a Patreon member. That was really nice of you to do that. All right. Well, I think I'm going to just stop here at Basement Pythons and say that's it. Like we'll say hi to everybody else as they make good comments. So how are you this evening, bro? You good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I've been just relaxing.
Grand Theft Auto. That was it. Thank you, 905 Royals. Thank you very much. Yeah. Just relaxing and finally doing my show, and I didn't blow you off for a foreigner this time.
Oh, well.
Sorry about that, bro. Sorry about that. So what was your most recent travel? You went to Europe on vacation, man?
Yeah, I took my girlfriend to Portugal for Thanksgiving.
That's lovely. That must have been nice.
7 days in Portugal, and then I did it overnight in Belgium, and just relaxed. It was really, truly.
My cousin lives in Portugal, man.
Oh, nice.
He retired there. Yeah, retired at hour 8. Well,
a lot of expats there, man. It's surprising.
50. What's that?
A lot of expats there for sure. Surprising.
Yeah, well, you know, he left America on a computer job for Europe and definitely expatted right away. I mean, it didn't take but like a year of him being outside of our culture and economy to really just be like, fuck that. I love my family there. I'll come visit, but I'm not moving back there. And he actually bought a place and he built his mom a little guest house, and he's like right off the coast, and he's retired at like 50, 52. Yeah. He's fucking living the life, bro. Should have gotten a computer game. Shouldn't have done reptiles, you know?
Well, I mean, that's one of the big things that they complained about while I was there, is like a lot of the foreigners that are coming in and they're starting to price them out that way, and they can't compete, you know, with the American dollar. So it's
right.
You can see, but it's still kind of awesome because, you know, people are able to do that. So
inexpensive to travel there, pretty much.
Oh man,
once you get.
Yeah, I mean, out there is super, super inexpensive. Food is really great, but I just so happened to fall upon a ticket, round trip for 2 for me and my lady that was super cheap, and I was like, we gotta go.
Yeah, you can't pass out on that.
Yeah, she was like, really, you want to do that? I said, yeah, let's go. She was like, okay. So
well, you're right. You drug her to the hot ass corners of Asia, didn't you?
No, she hasn't been to Asia, but
okay. I thought she went to Thailand or something with you.
No, I've got some things lined up this year that, you know, I want to take her on and show her the ins and outs of what I do and how I make things happen outside of the U.S. So
very interesting.
Good this year.
Very interesting. Okay, well, so I've known you through bugs more or less,
Yeah.
and reptile shows over the
Yeah.
years. It's
Yeah.
been probably, I don't know, 8 or 10 years since we've been around each
Yeah.
other. And so what got you started? I mean, have you done any podcasts before? Or is this your first thing?
No, this is actually my third one. So I did another one
Okay.
with Supreme Geckos and another guy with ISOPODcast. Did their
Okay.
podcast, and I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's an awesome way to deliver a message and then interact with everybody. I mean, I'll put the word out there. I'm looking for a podcast to get on regularly and just talk shop and talk business sometimes and life. So if you need a sidekick, let me know.
Oh, well, that might be me. If you want
Yeah,
to get in
let's
on the
do it.
Not Gonna Stand For It podcast with me, I need a helper
Let's
there. I
do it,
need
man.
somebody else, man.
I'm good.
It's gotta transcend the reptile hobby, though. It's gotta transcend the pet industry.
Completely okay with that.
It's got to be like outside of it. Like, cause you're pretty square minded, like when it comes around to things. Like you seem pretty straight laced.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to be, but
well, you know, we always give better advice than we take, right? In
very
our
true.
own life.
Very true.
But in that respect, I hope you've reflected on some of the things that you've shared with me, because they've been very insightful and very helpful to me in those ways. And I'm hoping that they'll be helpful to you in the return of the boomerang and be like, wow, I said that. That was pretty insightful. Wow, that was not bad. And you could actually grow from that. So, so what started you in this hobby, in this shindig game of things?
I think it goes with anybody that's into animals. They can go back and they can trace it back to their very first animal when they were a kid.
Yeah, sometimes it's not. I've gotten a couple people that were like, no, dude, I just never had shit as a kid, and I got on the internet and there were some cool snakes and they were worth tens of thousands of dollars, so I bought them and they were awesome, and that's it. But no, I think most of the people are like you, so sorry about that.
So I grew up in Houston and right near the bayou, and just going down to the bayou on after school or on a weekend and looking for whatever I could find, if it was a turtle or a garter snake or anything, just to kind of keep. And that's what I did. And I grew up really poor in pretty much the ghetto area of Houston, so I didn't have a lot of stuff to keep things in. And I had I found a really big turtle. I kept him in my backyard for the longest time, and then he finally passed away. And I just kind of kept with it, and then just turned into a love for fish. And I did African cichlids for, I don't know, probably about a good 10 years. And
as a hobby or more business end or what?
Just a hobby. It was just a hobby. Yeah, I just had a really big tank that I kept, and
bro, you never know with cichlid people, bro. Like I know. Oh, I have 375 gallons, and my wife said yeah, and then I had 1275, so I took the garage, and then and sure enough, they got a fish store running out the back of their yard.
Yeah, and that's a lucrative business too. It can be, but then I went from that, and I was trying to keep up with that. I joined the military, and of course, I put all that aside, and then I got out, and just kind of got back into cichlids. And one day after my military days, I went to visit my mom in San Antonio, Texas, and they just built their house in the outskirts of 1604, and it was the first house in the subdivision. And I went and checked it out. And I was leaving her house one day, and I came out in the grass. There was like this little bitty ball, and I was like, "What is that?" And I kind of put my foot out and kind of nudged it, and it was a spider. It got up and started walking, and I was like, "I'm keeping that." So it started off with one spider way back when, and then I amassed a collection of like 3,500 of them, and started a little hobby that I was going to shows and doing the little show circuit here and there.
Snake people, that's 3,500 individual bug drops and waterings.
Yeah,
3,500 individual bug drops and waterings.
Yeah,
it's profitable, but it's 3,500 different bug drops. So I grew up under, who I grew up under was Kelly Swift. I grew up under Kelly teaching me his ways about bugs, and I never had bugs of my own, really. I had a tarantula on both sides of my bed when I was in high school. I was as much I ever got into bugs. So I couldn't really tell you the allure in it. It was awesome. They were gorgeous spiders, but they didn't really do a lot to me for like, I didn't really was like, I want that 3,500. I want 35,000. No, I didn't really get that way. But then I watched Kelly Swift build a house for cash based on spiders. And I was like,
it was a thing of passion, because at the height of what I was doing, I was feeding constantly, because I had a regular job from the time that I got off until about midnight, for 3 days. Every 3 days I would do that. So I'd start cycling through it, and by the third day I'd be done, and then like 4 days later I'd have to start all over again because you feed once a week. And it got to be a lot, and I kind of started dwindling down and taking care of just what I wanted to keep, and still doing the show circuit. And then I ran into I think was it at Arlington or was it at Tinley?
I think it was a Conroe show. No, it was like one of the first Conroe shows that we
Maybe.
really like. Well, I know I bought the metal spider outside from you at a Conroe show. I know that.
Yeah.
I know it was
So,
that, but
so I ran into you then, and then somewhere along the lines, somebody brought some, at the time, and they weren't really that big of a deal, but some orange scabbers to my table, and they're like, "Hey, check these out." And it was just another bug to me, and I just started keeping it. And I mean, I'll be honest, just like anybody else, I killed my first group, and I was like, all right, I guess I didn't get it right. And at the time, there was nothing out there about them. It's just keep them in some dirt and feed them, and it'd be no big deal. What it kind of was. And honestly, orange scabbers, as common as they are now, at the time they were my nemesis. I couldn't keep them alive. So started with that, and then I started cultivating, powder blues and powder orange, and then zebras were the big thing for a while, and started selling those. And then somebody brought a picture that they found online of the rubber ducky isopod, and it piqued my interest, as well as Taryn, who at the time was a real good friend of mine.
yes, let's talk about Taryn real quick. Taryn Langover.
Yeah.
So I've known Taryn for probably 15 years, but a little bit longer than you, and then I've known you.
Yeah.
And always was interesting, right? So Taryn's part of a family that owns a pet store in
Not anymore. They used to.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
Where are they? Iowa or something like they
Kansas.
were middle Kansas. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was the dart frog reptile, person, and one of his brothers did fish, and the other brother ran a business, another brother did maintenance. So it was interesting. It was very cool that the whole family of them ran a retail store together. And I was like, wow, how do you guys get along well enough to do that? Like, I could imagine my family could run a retail demolition business, and that's probably about it. I don't really think they could do much construction or any development of any sort. They would pretty much wreck every fucking thing they touched as a group. No doubt they would be, hands down, we'd have a place in Vegas. We would be set. But meeting Taryn, it blossomed into somewhat of a partnership.
Well, I mean, Taryn and I always kind of hung out, and then Taryn actually got me into doing the big shows. So at the time, I was just doing all the shows in Texas, and then I ran into him at a show, and I was like, "Hey, have you done Tinley Park?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I do that show all the time."
Yeah,
and I was like, "I'm interested in going," and he's like, "All right, let's hook up," because it was on the way. So I was like, "I'll drive up from Texas. We'll load up, and then we'll carpool up to Tinley." And he's like, yeah, that sounds great. He goes, "But I'll tell you what," he goes, "Pomona's coming up." He goes, "Why don't we do Pomona first?" And I was like, okay. And I mean, I was used to doing these, mom and pop shows that were in, it seemed like, the Knights of Columbus, where, Arlington, the small Arlington show, and then just doing the small shows in San Antonio.
Yeah, Herb shows and things like that. Just
Herbs.
Small, before Herbs. But I mean, I know what you mean, like Bonnie's little show in Dallas and whatever.
Right.
And
so I was doing those shows, and then to go to a big show, I was like, oh man, blew my mind. But I was like, I'm gonna do it, and that's what I did. And I mean, to backtrack a little bit, when I was doing spiders as a hobby, I had a friend that had a pet store in San Antonio, and him and his buddy, they were running it. And, one of them asked me, like, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Man, I want to do some big shows." And then, a couple years later, I was like, "I'm doing big shows." So it was always this thing where I always said, like, whatever I wanted to do, I'm going to have it come to fruition. Like, if I can put my mind to something, and if I continue with that in my head, and every single step that I take goes towards that goal, I'm going to get there. And that's what I did. So it was like, I went from the small shows to the big shows.
I wish I could find that drive in myself again, bro.
I hear you, man.
I can't find it as a 40-something-year-old person that's done all this shit.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that one. And so then, like I said, I started doing that, and then it kind of got stagnated, where I was just like, I wasn't feeling it. I was kind of like how you are right now. And I'm like, I asked myself, I'm like, what's next? And I couldn't find the answer. And then, Taryn came to me, and he was like, we had gotten into this area where we knew that there was a calling that people wanted these isopods, but we couldn't get them. Nobody could get them. And then when we could get them, it was such a small group that, you know,
You couldn't satisfy anything. You
yeah,
satisfied
it
3
was,
customers, and that was it. You
yeah.
know?
So then Terrence's
Yeah.
like, he's like, you need to move this. You need to move to Thailand. And I exactly.
That's a Terran answer. That's a Terran answer. So anybody that knows Terran, that's a Terran answer. Terran's going to tell you that you need to just, if you want red dirt, you should just go to Mars. And that's just the best place to get red dirt because they got a lot of red dirt there.
But the thing about it is that Terran, as a friend, he will plant a seed, and then you'll go like,
right,
what do I need to do? And when he planted that seed, I was just like, I can do that. I can.
Yeah.
And everybody thought I was crazy when I finally made the decision. And I read something even today where it was like, you ask people for information or their opinion on doing something, and they give you their opinion, but they have never done it. So how are you taking their opinion and applying it to yourself if they're holding themselves back? And that's what everybody was telling me. They're like, you can't do it. You can't do it. And in my mind, I was like, I can. I can do anything I want to do because I'm an adult. And
limitless, bro.
Yeah,
he's the limitless drug. Ben is the limitless drug. Don't grind him up and eat him. I don't think it works that way. But
no, it doesn't work.
I wish it did because you'd be done. I'd be chopping you up into little bits like the fucking Berlin Wall and putting you in epoxy, shipping you
that's
around
what
the world.
I was just like, I put the plan together and I made it happen. And I was like, boom, let's go. I'm out. And I left. And you know, I made a success out of something that.
And what year was that you just fucked off to Thailand to make a buying trip or whatnot?
It was the beginning of 2019. Actually, I take that back. It was the middle of 2019.
Okay. So well before COVID was an Eastern problem. It was about 5-6 months prior to it being an Eastern problem.
Yeah,
COVID and then being a Western problem.
COVID's eyes at the time.
Right.
But I did, and then I started bringing in imports and making things happen, and then you know, I came back for Tinley, and I brought an import in specifically for that one, and I'm sitting there waiting to leave, and I'm at Terrence because Terrence like, just come here, we'll carpool like we used to, and it'll be great.
Right.
All right, cool. And I'm there, and a buddy of ours calls, and he's like, Tinley's canceled.
Right.
And I was like, bullshit. And he's like, no, he's canceled. So
the day before the show, the day before setup,
Friday.
Yeah,
I think it was Friday. We were getting ready.
Well, they canceled it on Thursday because my flight was literally Friday morning, and I didn't fly out. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, it'll be a week or two, and it'll blow over, and you know, go back. So I headed back to Thailand, and when I got to the airport, I was headed to the airport. They canceled my flight. And then I was like, all right, you know, it'll be a couple weeks.
Well, you shouldn't get stuck in Thailand, or maybe I don't know. It might be a good thing.
You know, I thought about that too, and I was like, I could be stuck in Thailand. It could be a great thing, but at the same time too, it's very lonely when you're out in places where you aren't normally there and you don't speak the language. Yeah, I mean, of course, there's translators, but I mean, you don't I didn't have any friends there, so to speak. I knew people where I was at and stuff like that, but they had their own lives. So it gets very lonely. So it wasn't, I would say, yeah, go do things, but it's not for everybody. And it takes its toll. So, you know, a couple weeks turned into a couple months, and then 6 months in, I'm like, what am I going to do? And by that time, Taryn had my collection that I had left with him, and he was taking care of it. And then I realized, all right, I need to rein this back in. So I started putting my collection back together, and a lot of it had dried up and died. You know, nothing against Taryn, just a busy guy. He's a dart frog guy.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Going. I tried to give him everything I could to make him successful, and unfortunately, on the aspect of isopod.com, Dart Frog Connection, which he does, is so successful that he couldn't branch off. So again, nothing against him. So I reined my collection in, I pieced it back together, and it was, I mean, nothing. I literally had nothing coming back from Thailand. And I mean, honestly, there was days where I just, you know, you feel like a failure. I felt like I had tried to do something, and then I got stuck here, and it was nobody's fault, and I failed. And then I tried to put my collection back together, and it was in shambles, and I felt like I failed. And it was something that I wasn't used to. And then I sat back and I thought about it and I said, you know what? I'm a grown ass fucking man. And I did all these other things that I was able to do, and I can fucking come out of this. And that's what I did. I put together my collection. I started piecing it back. I started selling a few things here and there. And then I put enough money together and I was like, I'm going to do an import. And as soon as they lifted the restriction for COVID on air cargo, I was like, I need to bring something in. And that's what I did.
Right.
And then it just slowly started building momentum and getting back into it. And here we are, you know, a couple years after COVID. And I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm like a complete success, but I've built ISOPOD.com as well as my part of what I can give to the hobby is a mark. You know, I'm not here to build an empire. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is trying to build a legacy. I want to leave something to, it's specifically the isopod community as well as the reptile community, to go like, this guy did something that it's a cornerstone. He provided something to the isopod community and to the reptile community as a way and a means to do things that like anybody can do it, as long as you're actually putting your time and your effort, and you can go like, I'm not going to fail. And I'm not saying that they're going to go out and they're going to be like, hey, I'm going to be the next importer, but I'm saying that the model itself, that if I look back and I go like, hey, what did I do to be successful? Well, I put my time into it. I put effort into it. I put blood, sweat, and tears. I put every single day that I got up, from the moment I got up until the time I went to sleep, every single thing that I could to make myself successful. That's what I did. And if anybody could do it, you know, anybody can do it in their part. That it's possible. I'm the living example. So,
okay. Well, I mean, I think that's like crazy motivational speak right there. I mean, I'm not crazy in the way of absurd and out of your mind. I think it's definitely attainable. I think that I've likened it in my life several times, you know. It's easy to feel down when you're down, right? It's easy to feel up top when you're
super hard to pick yourself
when you're swinging at it and you're cracking them out, though, it feels great.
Yeah.
But that dip, that inevitable dip, whether it's the marketplace, whether it's your personal finances, whether it's whatever else,
so used to
happens.
You get so used to, like you said, cracking them, like the home runs. Like you're like, man, that was great. That was a great show. That was a great sale. That was, you know, all these home runs. And I mean, I've gotten to a point now that all I'm trying to do is get on base. I mean, that's really it. I'm not trying to knock things out of the park anymore. I'm just trying to maintain and keep going to go like, man, I just need to get to first base. And if I can get on first base, then I can get second. If I can get second, I'm getting the third. And once it's third, I'm rounding, I'm coming home. So I'm gonna make the run happen. It's just getting on first base sometimes. People hold themselves back and they don't see that it's just as easy to get on first base. Right. I mean, everybody talks about, just to stick with baseball, everybody talks about all these home run hitters and, you know, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco and everything like that. But it's like, who's the number one first base, on base hitter?
No clue. All right.
Pete Rose has the record, and he's not
old
even
as old as hell, right?
In the Hall of Fame. He'll never be there, but
no, he'll never be there just because of the situation, right? His legal situation.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah.
So it's like I said, it's for me right now. It's the aspect and the idea of like I'm hitting singles, and I'm going to continue to hit singles that they start to build, and it's like, all right, let's do this.
Right. Well, and in the long run, you'll get there. You know, it's funny that like Will's like, I still have no clue what the fuck isopod is other than an expensive looking potato bug. And then you got guys like, look, I'll go way back here to PCF Funny Rolls and I put it up on the screen. I've been researching isopods over a year because of Ben and his care methods. I've been strong, but this year I might get some. So like, it's funny. It's like people are hesitant to get in them. And then you got like fucking Bob Vu, who I'm having dinner with Nick Markham and his kid while they're here, for a herp show. And he gets a text, and Bob was at like the Schaumburg show or something. And Bob did a trade for ball pythons for a group of bispinosas. And, and I was like, he sent a picture. I'll pull up isopod.com right now because it's an opportune time to pull it up. This is what I'm talking about. This is what Bob Vu has right here. This lovely isopod here on the screen.
Yeah.
So in this picture. So yeah, bispinosus, right?
Pseudo armadillo.
Yeah, pseudo armadillo is the genus, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still terrible at the genuses. Like I know I know the Marullinellas and things like that. I get those, because they're pretty easy, and the Cubaris and stuff like that. But so many of the genuses just seem like such a crapshoot of like these fucking names, bro. These fucking names. I'm like, I want to name my own isopod Roly Poly Dimodalaris or some shit like that. Roly Polaris, and somebody would Polaris jet skis would sue you for it.
Yeah.
You can't name it Roly Polaris.
Naming isopods right now is just a really it's
just funny. I just love it. Armadillium, whatever the hell. Armadillium, right? And then the other armadillo related ones, but there's no Sonic the Hedgehog related ones because it's not that old. But
well, I think the thing is with naming isopods right now, it's there's a lot of really good names. There's a lot of funny names. But
I mean, at this point, you guys are scrutinizing the bug to a point where it has not been scrutinized in the previous much. I mean, I imagine entomologists have scrutinized it pretty deeply, but
here's the problem.
Scrutinized it as much as our commercials.
Here's a problem that you run into is that a lot because isopods have become so big of an industry at this point that it's not entomologists going out there and discovering them.
That's what I mean. It's
just these regular people that are going out and they're realizing, hey, I can do this.
It's you and the people that live there.
Yeah,
it's and then Ben Quintana and the people that live there.
They name them whatever it is that they're used to out there. So that's why you get some of the names that are in there. Like,
interesting.
Well,
so that I thought was really, 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 really cool because it seems like every time you're going out on an expedition, you're coming back with something completely fresh, completely new. And
yeah, but most of the time too, now I'm not even finding it. It's somebody bringing it to me and they're like, hey, I found this. And
that's dope.
So
that's
dope.
That's cool.
It's
nice. It's very nice to have that. It's extremely nice.
I mean, I can go back and probably the last couple of times that I've gone to Thailand and I run into a few guys out there and they see me and I introduce myself and they're like, what? You're Ben from ISOPOD.com? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh man, you're a big deal out here. And I'm like, really? Like, yeah, man, you're like everybody's like,
because they all want to know how much they should charge, and they're all going to your website to use it as a goddamn price.
They do use it as a guide.
I have gotten that from African ball python people in the past.
I've given them something. I've given them an avenue to make money in a way that they're not used to making money.
Oh, sure, it's another third world person you've given some natural resource to as a pinpoint of economics, and that's just like that's like gasoline on fire, I should say. I'm trying to explain
the problem though is that it's a double-edged sword. So because of that, there is no ends to the means for them. They're just going to go out and collect.
Well, and that's how I explain to people on this podcast in the past, Ben, from the fish market. That if we went to Indonesia, we would find everyone from 7 to 8 years old, all the way to functional elderly people in the workforce of a family. Where if somebody was to collect something like an isopod, literally the entire family will go out to collect said isopod. And they will never stop until that isopod is gone. Or like in the case of ornate uromastics and several, like I could go on and on and on, Chinese crocodile lizards and things that don't reproduce very quickly, but that the third world populace can catch very, very, very quickly.
I mean, Grammostola rosea, the rose-haired tarantula from South America, you're not allowed to import them anymore because they've just gone and
they've gone and taken them away, right? I mean, they've gone and literally flipped over every single thing, right?
Emperor scorpions for the longest time.
Emperor scorpions. Yeah, that was a good example in your bug world. So we've both seen it from from both perspectives of the exotic reptile / invertebrate trade, and it's a nasty little thing. So don't tell the Cubans that they have the coolest fucking bugs on the earth, because I'm not lying when I tell you that I don't know how much cooler it could get than this here bug with the spines that looks like,
go back, scroll down real quick. Keep going. I think keep going. There might be one on there. No, it's not on there.
There. Yeah.
Yeah,
There.
keep going. Yeah, there you
That
go.
that one. Yeah.
There's
Well, we
another.
know what we like. We know what we like. We know what you and I geek on behind closed doors. Because guess
I
what,
mean,
folks? I do geek on this shit too. I've spent thousands of dollars on these fucking bugs, and I'm not doing well with them at all because I
listen,
haven't been taking
I
care of
am,
them right. So
I
I look, check it out, dude. I pawned them off. Oh shit, she's probably watching this podcast. I shouldn't call it that. I pawned them off on my friend Janelle Allen, who actually cares for the entire collection of animals at LSU Veterinary School that they use as more or less study animals and research project animals. So hopefully she has the pill bug thumb. She's hopefully
Yeah.
going to be a pill pusher of the future.
I'll
with
say
me. There
this.
she goes. Look, I like the spiky ones. Yes, I am. There she is. I am. I'm here. I'm here. I didn't speak up. She's taking notes. I hope she's taking notes so we can make lots of money and put isopod.com out of business. Oh man,
By all
no, I'm
means,
not
I
gonna do
mean,
that. By all means, that's what he says. Bring on the
when you're retired.
competition. I love it. But so this is also a Cuban. Is this which one is this? This is
That's a pseudo armadillo vansiclei.
Vansiclei.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, let me say this. So,
Vansiclei. Then there's what? What other ones?
so you got Julianus, you got vansiclei, you've got
Hold on, bro. Cuban isopods. I'm just gonna do a Google image search so we can show these folks some of what this coolness is. Because I'm gonna tell you, if the Predator had a isopod, it would be
this would be sitting on his shoulder like a parrot.
it would be Assoy, the one that I asked you for when you went.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was like, yeah, bro, this is the one. Here, this guy. Look at this.
So this guy here, he's like on the top. He sits on the top of my. If I could ever find this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That would be like it's
That's
the
the
whole
pinnacle.
holy grail to me.
Holy Grail right there. So anybody in Cuba, so you hear me? Anybody in Puerto Rico, you're closer than us. Okay. You're closer than us. Just go get it.
Yeah. I
of
think
it.
the problem is this is a bigger problem than, just going there and be like, hey, they have a fuel shortage. They have a car shortage. They have.
Oh yeah. You told me how
shortage.
rough it was when you went and visited not long.
Yeah. I mean,
So
there
that
was
a
there
really
was a
rough
place
trip.
where like, I was just like, I don't know what to do. And then, so then finally I was just like, screw it. I'm drinking the water because there's nowhere to get water. There's nowhere to.
Yeah.
to
Did you
do
boil
anything.
it first?
No, it was just like you get to a point where you just throw caution to the wind. It's like,
Yeah, I guess that's right.
fuck
Did you
it.
get sick?
Well,
Yeah.
let's just say I came back 10 pounds lighter.
Well,
And-
that's not necessarily a bad thing as long as you don't continue to lose that 10 pounds a month. This is a problem, So Jonathan Chorus, who was a reef tank guy, as you can tell from his little thumbnail, said it's a land nudibranch. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, even though the ocean does have isopods, they probably don't have isopods that are as cool looking as this. Absolutely insane. Janelle, I think we should definitely get to this point.
Look up
Please just
look up pseudo armadillo Gillianus with the G.
Yeah, Gillianus or Gillianus. We talked about it as well.
Yeah.
Another again Cuban isopod. So that's the one which one is this? This is let's see. That's a soy. Yeah, there's another picture of an Assoy or whatever. That's very cool.
Well,
oops, I closed my screen. Go ahead.
It's I will say this: it's a labor of love. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I take away a lot of information. And
oh, dude, they should design a Roomba after this so your dog won't fuck with it. I mean, really, seriously, come on. This is the coolest shit ever. Like I'm with Kara. Isopods are so fun. I don't have near enough tubs of them. Well, I'm with you, but I had too many tubs of them dying.
Yeah.
So my problem is I had a really bad fungus grow through there and knock shit out. So yeah, Gillianus was
at this point for me, I have to I'm
Gillianus was the
gung-ho about doing all these things and trying to find and trying to bring in and trying to provide a lot of stuff for the hobby.
There you go.
But yeah.
There you go, boo.
That's the cool
there
one.
you go, buddy.
So then, it's kind of funny because like Google tracks everything, and I have I have a phone that Google tracks, and it comes up with at the end of the year, what you've done. And it was like, you traveled 5.4 times around the world. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty dope if you got that point. Yeah, here's Gilianis for you in its
Yeah.
glory of color and just absolutely amazing. This is definitely, yeah, Luch, I'm right there with you. Make a trip, boil the water, bring yourself a camp stove.
Yeah. So
That's
then,
the way to do life.
the one thing that came up was like, it says you spent X number of hours flying in the air. And when I did the calculation, is basically I spent 35 days in the air traveling and going from place to place. And yeah, they're cool places, and I got to see cool things, and I got cool pictures and experiences and stuff. But those 35 days of my life that I'll never get back.
35 days in the air.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Gilianis, the top of the list. One day. Yeah, I'm with you, Adrian. We're all on the lookout, brother.
So it's like you start numbering those days, and then it's like I got to be very selective on what I do now, just because I've got to experience a lot of things, and I got to see a lot of things. But it's like, okay, now I want to focus, and I want to become more intertwined with what I do and what I provide to the hobby and to the community, that I've kind of helped, be a pillar of. It's not my hobby, and this isn't my community as far as.
No, but you're an ambassador to it, and I think that's admirable and a hell of a way to lead the pack for the youngsters out there, for all of these people in this chat that are either not necessarily younger in age, but younger in hobby and experience. I think your position is one of extreme value.
Yeah.
Having gone around the world, seen how the animals live, seen where, struggled through the struggles of the people that live there in the remote areas where the bugs come from. Because let's face it, you're not just flying into Bangkok and saying, hey, I'm here, I'm buying isopods at a nice airport. No, fuck no. You're going out into stretches of the community that you wouldn't normally go out into as a tourist per se. Like, you might go to a place that has nothing to see for days on end just because it suits your purpose.
I mean, I put myself in some precarious, places too. When I was traveling in Thailand, I went into one area, and believe it or not, there's an area there that's it's a very big population of Muslims. And I mean, here I am, almost 6 foot, big, hulking American, and they've got these small Thai people, full dress and garb and everything as Muslims. And I'm walking around like it's no big deal, and they're looking
fully skin exposed and be like, what are you doing here, right?
At nighttime, like I'm gonna go out and get something to eat, and I'm worried, like, hey, am I gonna make it out of here? Because I'm in their area, and I'm looking for something and meeting people.
Grow a longer beard.
Well, I mean, like
really, grow a longer beard. Like, I'd say that's a military tip. Like, some people that were, especially overseas a lot during the military, were like, bro, men in that culture judge you on how manly you are, and if you have a big fucking beard, you're a fucking man.
In Thailand, nobody goes
you, and I'm like, whoa,
stick out like a sore thumb regardless.
You would stick out like a. Well, I mean, at least you may look military or something. If you're like, you grow a big long beard, and be like, oh, that guy might not be here for the regular purpose. He's like,
I'm big enough that most people don't mess with me.
Right. Well, that's good. That's good. That's a good thing to have.
Yeah,
I guess, good advantage to have at least a little bit of.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've been working on the site a lot. I've noticed, like, you've been doing a lot of work on the site.
Yeah.
I especially like the thumbnails up in the front of the thing. But I think this is a really great feature on the site, having these thumbnails that pop up and having information on them here from Instagram or whatever. I think it's really great. And dude, there's so many fucking amazing ones that I want, that I just want to build a collection of. It's absolutely insane. What is your favorite group to mess with, like, as a whole?
As a whole, I still think I'm drawn to Cubaras.
Yeah, me too. I think they're little cute ass faces and all their cool colors. So
yeah,
guys like the Cubaras or like the rubber duckies and things like that. For all you non-knowing motherfuckers that are watching this, love the lemon blues and things like this that have the fade around their bodies. And guys, really, you can't tell that this bug looks this cool unless you look at it for a long time or up really close. It's like, dude, when you get into freshwater shrimp, so this is as close as I'm getting in the reptile and exotics game to freshwater shrimp so far, has been isopods. It's the closest marketable thing that I've seen in that, in that, like, here's some questions that I'd like to answer. Can you cross them?
No.
I'm sure no. In the case that, dude, we're calling them isopods as a generalization. If you get to looking at these animals and how vastly different they are, that bad motherfucker right there. That's a bad motherfucker right there. I want that.
It's big.
Is it really that big?
It
looks
big for being a roly-poly. It's big.
It's like that big?
Yeah, I mean, they get decent size. They're fat.
Like half inch?
Yeah, almost.
Jeez.
No, but going back to can you cross them?
But yeah,
it's kind of like the same thing with like dart frogs and even like some of the other industries. You don't cross isopods. One, they're genetically they won't match up, and then two, their reproductive parts don't match up.
Now, have you tried different Cubaris colorations together?
No, I won't dabble in that because I sell to the public. So,
I understand, but there's some designer potential here, bro.
I mean, by all means.
I mean, bro, like, I'm not kidding you.
Buy and
go look at the fucking shrimp market. There are so many species of isopod. I don't think it's really a problem that we have to make more. Like that we have to make more colors that are different. But like, I wonder about Cubaris. Like when I see stuff like this, the amber, that's a really sexy amber too. Did you dig through 2,000 ambers to find that one? That motherfucker's badass. That thing is badass. But yeah, like the snow and like
that's taken in situ. That's in Cuba or in Thailand when we first found them.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was in the wild. Okay.
That was in the wild. Yeah.
Oh yeah, in its natural habitat. Yeah, I'm not reading. Yeah. I'm just Googling. Yeah. I'm just drooling, bro. I can't read and drool at the same time. That's why I don't put the words on the Playboy pages.
And it's funny because that picture's taken with a camera phone.
Look at this cool motherfucker right here. This Borneus. That's dope. That's dope. That's fucking awesome. That's fucking awesome.
That one right there is the size of it's smaller than a pencil eraser. That sucker's tiny.
Oh yeah, these are the little bitty ones.
Yeah,
the ones with the fine detail that you see. But look at how cool they look when they curl up. It's even cooler looking than when I 3D print them. But yeah, dude, I'm serious. I wanted to try it. I wanted to try doing something like putting lasers with ducks and
I'll tell you whatever you can do. Whatever you want to buy, and you can put it together and crossbreed
Listen to you.
I'll leave that to anybody else.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, so the Instagram thumbnail section on the page is really great. I love this because I just could keep going and going and going. These clue guys are gorgeous. The Brovniks are so pretty, and so can a common one that's pretty easy. Yep. I like so many of them. You have so many of them. Jesus Christ, son. What are you gonna do with your life? You're gonna be filing this shit away forever. There are just so many. Like, what number do you have now? Like in the way of variants? I'm not gonna say
species.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say species, but I'm gonna say variants because I don't believe
probably in the neighborhood of. And I'm spitballing here because I don't count them, but I'll probably say in the neighborhood about 250.
There's your Montenegro, Luch. I love Montenegro, and I have that orange Montenegro too that I really like a lot.
Yeah,
the orange phased one, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, I have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 400 tubs that I care for, and it's just me.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have any employees. I'm
with
sure
lids.
Yeah, and people would want to come work for me and work with me, which I can't say that it wouldn't help.
But you're talking about trust.
That, and I haven't found the right fit. So I mean, I'm out here in Virginia. I don't know a whole lot of people because I'm not from here.
Yeah, you're a Texan thrust into a new area. So what brought you to Virginia? Love or just change?
Yeah, love. My girlfriend.
Love brought you there. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of a funny backstory. I've known my girlfriend for 20 years. I was at her first wedding. And
really?
Yeah, she got married. And she even told me then, a couple years after we first met, is that she's like, "Were you going to stand at my wedding?" I was like, "I could have." So we joke about that now, but yeah, I mean, 20 years I've known her, and I've been out here in Richmond area for going on 2 years now.
That's probably a nice change from Texas, though.
I fucking love it out here, man.
Yeah, I bet you do, because it's very different, especially from Houston. I mean,
Well, I
Houston's
was
more
gonna
or
say
less
that.
the same. I know you weren't in Houston then, but I know you grew up there. But
Yeah, I grew up in Houston. I lived everywhere in Texas. I mean, Houston, San Antonio, El Paso. I went to high school in El Paso, Fort Worth, Dallas. The only city I didn't want to live in and I never lived in was Austin because fuck that place.
too liberal for you?
Nah, just every single time I went there, I'd always get into a fight and
Oh, okay.
get in trouble and
Oh, yeah.
stuff. So I was like,
Always something.
yeah,
Always something in Austin. Austin was too much fun. Yeah, too liberal. Too much temptation.
yeah,
Austin was your Vegas growing up in Texas.
pretty much.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, so like going back to the isopod part, it's like
Yeah.
I've seen isopods in situ in their environment, probably isopods that some people probably never ever get to hold or get to see in person. And that's what I try to deliver. I try to deliver, even if it's a picture that somebody can go like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Oh, man. It gets
and
me.
then give them the experience of like, hey, here's how it's taken care of, or here's how it's kept because this is the way I've seen it. Here are the temps. The problem that I face is that, and I've said this before on other podcasts as well as just messages. I don't want to make it seem like I'm not approachable, but a lot of people see that as I'm not approachable, and I don't know why. I'm not a menacing guy. I don't think I'm more like a big teddy bear.
No, you're not a menacing guy. You're kind of quiet in that respect, though. You have that silence about you in the way that you don't. I don't know. You're not like a resting. You're not a resting bitch face, bro. I mean, you're not like that.
I take in my environment because it's just how I was. I'm always looking to make sure that I'm aware of my surroundings. So I'm constantly, looking around. I don't know if it's a military thing or whatnot, or it's just me. But like I said, going back to it, I want to put out there that, yeah, I am approachable and you can ask me questions and I'll give you answers. The one thing I'll tell anybody is, just be ready for the truth because I'm not going to bullshit. You might not like the answer, but it's going to be the truth.
Well, the funny thing is when I was looking into getting into isopods and I was catching the bug, no pun intended, really hard. I really went to the local herb show and I'm rolling around and I'm talking to people and I'm talking to, so-and-so, this and that. And, I'm talking about isopods and this one person's like, well, why don't you call Ben? And I'm like, Ben who? Ben Quintana. And I'm like, Ben with the spiders? And he's like, well, yeah, dude, but he doesn't do spiders anymore. And I'm like, well, I don't do fish anymore. Fuck do I know? I've been gone for 4 years. I haven't really paid attention to how you've progressed in isopods. I had no idea you were a, climbing isopod king. So I was like, oh, no, really? He does. And dude, ISOPOD.com. And I'm like, oh, I've been all over that website. I've, read a whole bunch of shit and everything. He's like, that's Ben's website. And I'm like, no shit. And then he says, man, you should know how much money he made. And I'm like, oh, really? And then I'm like, all right, now this is enticing. So here it leads down the road of 905 Royals. Look, how many, well, wait, not. What's the reproduction rate like?
All different.
And then wait, how many did you take in versus what you have now? And then can you sex isopods? And then it's going to be 905 Royals and pods before a minute goes by. Pods. It's going to be isopod 905 Royals and pods because at this point, isn't it attractive?
Let's take a second. We'll address it. Yeah. So what's the reproduction rate? It varies. Some of them can blow up and you'll have like a ton of them.
Porcellios are fucking nightmarishly fast. Angry, they get out and they run into other colonies and they take them over if you don't have a good fitting lid. Those can be out of control, and Cubaris can be a year before they're mature, more. Some of them more before they even start breeding. Yeah. So it can be very frustrating to get into, and it seems like the more expensive ones are not only more expensive because they're dope ass looking, but also they are harder. Yeah, and they are. It just so happens that the fucking dope ones are harder.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. And then it's like you could sit here and wait, or like you could order something from me, and I've had it for however long. You get it, all of a sudden it produces, and I'm like,
oh, it comes in breeding like crazy, or it comes in small, and you got to grow it for a year.
You got to wait. I don't gauge it. I just it's just how it is. And then people ask me, can you send me sexed, 3 and 3, or 5 and 5, or 10 and 10. You can sex them, but the problem that I have is
extremely difficult.
deal with so many orders sometimes that I'm not going to sit there and go like, oh, this person wants 3 males and 3 females.
Now, I would imagine if it's something insanely expensive, like something spiky or something multicolored, then that it's a little different, or no?
Nah.
No.
It's the same. I deal with it the same way. What I look for when I fill an order is just basically healthy,
transparent motherfuckers. Look at this. Sean picked up what I was putting down. Yeah, I know. Ball python people, you're a transparent money grubbing motherfuckers. And this is literally money grubbing. Like they got grubs and there's money. That's money grubbing. It's that. That's it. That's it. So
so it's the same thing. So like I said, I don't have the time to weed through every single order to go like, I want this, I want that. You can sex them. They're easily sexable. It's just looking at the underside and looking at, understand what you're looking at as far as the reproductive organs. It's highly visible and you can see what's a male and what's a female. And some of the times too, even when I'm packing like big orders, if they're ordering thousands, I mean, I'm pulling so many, you can see that they have babies already underneath them or they're carrying them. And I'm like, all right, cool. I've got so many sometimes I don't care if I'm sending out gravid females and whatnot, or, it's just a matter of the person getting their order and they're happy and they're going to continue pushing the hobby forward. That's where I sit. It doesn't matter to me one way or the difference. Anybody can look at me and go, well, Ben is ISOPOD.com and he's my competition. Cool. I don't look at anybody as competition, not because I'm above them, but because of the simple fact that, like, I want you to be successful. I want people to.
Yeah, the more people out there doing this, the more people there are. I mean, in every reptile show I'm at, I'm across from this guy, Stewart, and his wife. And I forget what they call their business. But they do this, like, medieval decoration stuff. And she's dressed like she just came off a Robin Hood episode. Right. She looks like this maiden, right, with like flower things in her hair and shit. Right. But they decorate the shit out of their table. They put up phenomenal photography of the isopods that they sell.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Medieval serpents, medieval something. Yeah. Yeah, it's something medieval. I know. But you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But do a fabulous job of reaching out to the public, bro. She's always on like she's always here. Like she's got little kids and stuff too. So she's just like naturally that person. I mean, he's cool too. He's a cool guy, but his wife is just medieval serpents. Yeah, you're exactly. I was right. I'm glad I was right. It's serpents. But I hate to say that their whole fucking table is isopods. There's nothing serpent about it, but it's absolutely like, yeah, Tanner. That's it. Tanner, not Stewart. I'm sorry. Yeah. Tanner. I get names screwed up, but I pick him out of a lineup, and his wife, Jesus Christ, dude, is she not a phenomenal fucking isopod pusher? She's got your corner, dude. Her corner is her corner. You ain't kicking her off her corner. I'm telling you that right now. Her pill bug pushing corner is fucking secure. Like she's got it on lock, and they do a great job though of representing the hobby and the bugs themselves, and you see how many people go to shows and they're like, I can't sell any isopods, and they don't ever move for me, or what? Andy or one of Andy's guys, yeah, we don't sell them all that much, dude. You stick them on the side in cups and they like look like another stack of shit in a stack of shit show that you guys got going on here, right? Like that's Andy's fucking problem with selling isopods. They get shoved off. Like, what are these? Oh, they have isopods here. What kind they got? And they're like in the giant mess of supplies. You can't find them. But like, whenever I see people at the shows pushing like them, like the medieval serpents folks, like I see isopods moving across the table, and I hear the same thing from the audience, right? Like, oh my God, I never knew that. I never imagined that, and it's just like, fucking A, right. I love this. I never imagined that. It's like putting a scale of snake in somebody's hands. I never imagined that, a snake could feel this way. I never imagined that a bug could entertain me. Like, dude, I caught a hold of this like a fucking fever, dude. I ran at it like a goddamn junkie, and I felt the pain of it when I went and dug dead bugs up. I mean, really felt the pain of it. So like, let's talk about keeping secrets before we dive. In a minute, I'm going to dive into the website, and we're going to go through the genuses one by one and look at all the fabulous variants. But I want to talk to you about care and stuff. Let's talk
Yeah.
about care. Reproductive rate is everywhere, guys. So if you want to make money with isopods, here we go. Like if you're picking up what I'm putting down, you'll take your time, you'll make wise decisions. And I discovered something that blew my fucking mind, Ben. Did you hear about the bad batches of tree fern fiber that came in?
No, I haven't heard.
Okay. These bad batches of tree fern fiber from New Zealand came into Amazon last year, and they had some fungus, some staghorn fungus, some fungus that's so fucking fast that no amount of springtails can take care of it.
What does it look like?
It's green and it grows out. It's weird. It's
Huh.
you'd have to look into the fungal. I think it's a fungal issue that came in on the tree fern fiber, and
Okay.
they like Amazon, like I don't know if they recalled it or what, but you remember the kid that I was working with that I was trying to do the isopod
Yeah.
stuff with that was living here. He bought 4 bags of it, and we
Oh.
started making our ABG mix with that, and that's what I set my shit up with, and it fucking took over half my shit. And I was like, what is this? It's the weirdest thing. I've never seen anything like it, but I'm not that versed on this whole bioactive living. It's just new to me. This bioactive stuff's really new to me. And so I went to the Reptile Expo and I brought some bags of my bedding with me to give to one of the guys to try. And he was like, hey, bro, you see, I was like, yeah, there's mold in that bag. And he was like, oh, I don't think it'll be a problem. The bugs will take care of it, right? The springtails will take care of it, right? And he's like, does this have tree fern fiber in it? And I said, yeah. And he's like, when did you buy your tree fern fiber? I was like, yeah, end of last year. And he said, oh yeah, dude, that's what this is. He's like, I'll bring it home and try it, but I'm going to set it up in a different bin. I'm not going to put it in my tanks because I don't know if that's got that shit in it. And I guess, I don't know, pretty crazy. Just so happens that I shot myself in the foot by trying to get into the dirt business. You know,
Yeah, I've never
revisit that or buy a big fucking autoclave, which I can't afford. You know, an autoclave.
I've never used tree fern fiber in any of my substrates.
Well, ABG mix has tree fern fiber in it, so I was going for an ABG mix that I could use with the isopods added dirt in it, and then it could function as a terrarium mix and an isopod additive. You know, but that was all. You know, that was it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your drug of choice when it comes to the dirt and all that.
I mean, I make my own substrate, so it's when I was in Texas, I found a local grower that would just had organic soil, and I would go and put some charcoal in it. I'd grind up some charcoal, throw that in there. I stay away from personally in my tanks that I keep. I stay away from sphagnum moss, but I use peat. So the reason being is that I do not like, because I have to go through my tub so often, I need to be able to see what I'm doing. And the sphagnum moss can break down and it looks like little bitty babies. And I can't see the actual babies. So I stay away from that. And, people are like, oh, I put that in the little corner. I keep that moist. I'm like, that's awesome. I just don't use it.
It's great for you. It's just, you site sort and it just gets in the way of your visual sorting methods is all really. Yeah. So it's not really a drawback for anything chemical or biological. It's just it just gets in the way of your eyes.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, like I said, charcoal, peat, and then, a couple other little additives, either if it's a bark or anything that I'm looking at that's organic, that especially if it's, local here, out this area in Virginia, these guys have some trees out here that they fell, that they break down. That's just great. I mean, it works for me and I love it. So like I tell anybody, if they're going to get into their own thing, with soil.
But you're not using fermented bark.
No.
You're fermented wood. You're not using fermented wood. You're not even using it as an additive.
I'm not saying that it doesn't work, and I'm not saying that people haven't.
Oh, I'm sure it works tremendously well. I'm sure it works phenomenally well. I'm sure it's like keeping them on little steroids and stuff, but it's also a big problematic thing to have fermented wood. And all these snake people are going to be, what the fuck is fermented wood? Yeah, that's a whole other
you
process.
Worry about off gassing,
right?
Because then you got gas build up inside your tubs. Me personally, and I've said it several times.
Coop tubs, right?
Yeah, I don't use any ventilation on my tubs. What I concentrate on more is airflow. So I have fans in my shop that are constantly circulating air throughout the shop. And because the tops are on and they're not sealed, like super tight, the air will go through and it doesn't get stagnated, which helps me with humidity. So humidity for isopods is a very big thing. So you got to have certain humidity levels, and it just helps me keep that within each tub without the ventilation holes. So I can't tell you how much is enough or how little is enough. It's just what I use, and it's what's worked for me over the years. I've had people tell me like, that's a great idea. It works for me. I started doing it. I've had people tell me that like, hey, I've tried it, and I got all kinds of mold issues and all kinds of gnat issues. And I mean, to me, it's always comes back to the one things: airflow versus ventilation. You can have an open tub, and if you're not moving air, then it's just stagnant air, and you're not doing yourselves any favors. If you have an open tub and you have air circulating, then you're going to do away with the gnat problems, the fungus problems, the mold problems, but then you have to deal with the everything drying out and not having enough humidity, because where they're coming from, like let's say they're coming from Thailand, humidity all the time is 80%. It rains there constantly, throughout the year. They have a dry period, but it's constant rain, that humidity's in the air. When I was there, you're constantly sweating. Like when you're in Louisiana and you go outside and you walk outside and you come in and you're just drenched. I mean, that's how it is there. So keeping isopods.
It's just a little bit more unpleasant there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. And with mosquitoes that look like they could probably eat the fuck out of our mosquitoes, but at the same time, yeah.
Yeah. So
especially
then
you come off the plane smelling like a fat Virginian. Coming off the plane smelling like fucking barbecue sauce from Texas, and the mosquitoes of Thailand carry you off to the best destination to find isopods.
They get that sweet barbecue sauce.
Yeah, you float off like the guy in the DreamWorks Up movie from mosquitoes fucking carrying you off. That would be the one thing that I would dread about going to Thailand, would be just being out there and being with the bugs after smelling like a Westerner diet.
I mean, the crazy part about that is I'm allergic to DEET. Like what the main.
Oh, really? Oh, fuck me. That's horrible, bro. That's terrible, dude. Oh, you're allergic to DEET. What a career choice.
Think about it. Like
career choice.
Keeping isopods. If you're from anywhere like Midwest and North, or even in the Northeast, the humidity levels are so low that you can't keep an open tub. You can keep ventilation, but then again, airflow, as well as making sure that you're keeping an eye on your substrate to keep it damp and keeping that humidity in the tub, because isopods need that humidity for air exchange. They have a gill, which is part of their lung structure, that if it gets dry, they're basically going to dry out from the lung part, and then they won't be able to breathe. Now, if it's too high humidity and it's just sopping wet and it's super wet, you're gonna basically drown them, because the humidity in the air will get into their lungs. It'll drown the lung, and they won't be able to breathe. And you'll go in and you'll see your isopods just curled up in a ball, and you're like, what's going on? It's humid, it's damp, and it's too humid. So you can go one way where it's too dry and the other way where it's too wet, and you're kind of fucking yourself all over the place. So you got to just be very careful with what you're doing and be very mindful. It's not one of those things where you could just go like, I'm just going to throw them in a tub and they're going to do great and everything's going to be copacetic, because they just do what they do. It's not as simple.
That's what I thought, but no, it's definitely not that. Definitely not that 905. That's especially for you if you're picking up what I'm putting down. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, I'm putting isopods in the grave, So again, definitely,
like I said, anybody can find me on my website, even on Instagram. I'm there. Message me if you got questions. I have no problem answering it. I do have like a small care guide on the website to give you some tips, some tricks. It's not 100% like every single species, but it's a very basic idea for each one of the species, kind of drill down.
So if somebody's getting started, do you recommend they buy like an isopod substrate and they suck that down, or you recommend they throw their own mix together with like some mushroom compost and some bark and some peat moss and stuff? I mean, God knows you could probably make fucking 60 gallons of this shit for the same cost as one little bag of isopod dirt on Etsy. But like, is there any like magic? Do you sell dirt? Do you sell through your site? No, you don't really sell supplies, right? You're just doing the bugs. That's why I wanted to do Roly Moly, dude. That's why I wanted to do my.
I've kind of kicked it around as far as putting my substrate out there for people to use. It's just one of those things too that opens you up for a lot of scrutiny that I've seen some of the other vendors get. And I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I don't think my substrate's ready for that yet. But I probably will one day.
Perhaps maybe you would want to autoclave it then.
Maybe. I mean, but I think too, it's like I usually mix my substrate and then I let it sit there for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And then what I do is I test it. So I take a group of, from each one of the species. So I'll do powder blues or powder orange. I'll do Armadillidium vulgare. And then I'll do like a lava species, like a scabber or calico. And I'll put them in a small tub with the substrate that I've just done after it's sat there for 2 weeks. And I'll let them go in there for, a good week and a half, 2 weeks, and see what happens. If they start dying, then I know I've got bad substrate. If they start to flourish, then I'm like, all right, I keep an eye on them. And I usually go about 3-4 weeks before I decide to actually use that substrate and put it in any of my tubs. So is it tried and true? I don't know, but it's what I do for my stuff.
What you do.
Yeah. And I think it keeps.
Yeah. Cause with bugs, the biosecurity aspect, it gets really difficult with bugs. Cause you've got mites that live on bugs that are predatory or parasitic or more or less symbiotic that would be transferred from enclosure to enclosure easily. Like, I mean,
because they can climb plastic,
right? Well,
plastic.
Yeah,
and I mean, you bring up a very good valid point as far as like,
bugs are extremely hard to have biosecurity on because they're sensitive to chemicals. You can't treat them. There's no like bug cleaner. Like there is mite killer that kills bugs, right? Kills fucking isopods too. I mean, any permethrins, any permectrins in your facilities, any no pest strips, orthophosphates, any phosphate chemicals at all, hanging strips or sprays.
There's a few things that you can help combat, like with gnats. You've got the mosquito dunks that you can use in the water,
right?
That doesn't do anything to isopods. You got
tack strips that you can hang up, right? Tack strips and stuff you can hang.
Diatomaceous earth, as long as you're not putting it directly into the tubs. I mean,
right.
I wouldn't.
You could put diatom powder around your facility, just not in the dirt mixture that you use.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few things here and there, but I mean, biosecurity is a really big word, especially when it comes to isopods and any type of bugs, because it's very hard. To have that type of thing when you're dealing with like dwarf whites and dwarf purples and all these little bitty tiny bugs that can attach to the legs of a bigger isopod, and then all of a sudden you got a tub of orange scabbers and it's also got dwarf whites in it, and you're like,
well, right. And that's how I ended up like finding scabbers and lavis in colonies of duckies and other cubaris. And more or less, I don't know, predating on them. I mean, these bugs will kill other bugs. So this is essentially a family of wood lice. Okay. So like folks out there who are thinking isopod, what do we call them other than isopods? They would be wood lice, would be how science knows them, would be how entomology and the taxonomy of the government would know them, as far as like agriculture and importation. And let's face it, this is a gray territory.
Yeah. So let's
talk about this gray territory too.
Let me give you a little pointer before we move on to that. So what I do in order to keep my biosecurity as best as possible, I mean, it's not 100%, is all my dwarf colonies, dwarf whites, dwarf purples, dwarf grays, tarragona, and a few others, I put them at the very bottom of any of my racks. And then I start to go up from there. So if I'm okay with like my powder species getting into my dwarf colonies, I put those right above them. And then I go Armadillidium, vulgare, and then cubaris.
Because they won't climb up?
Because they don't climb up. So
seriously?
The other thing that
if we let a bunch of scabbers go, those motherfuckers, none of them will climb up.
Well, my thing that I worry about is when I open a tub, if something's at the top and it falls down, I would rather get it in the bottom tub than have dwarf whites at the very top fall out and then go down through the ladder and into.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm
I see, like by crumbs falling. Yeah,
Yeah,
crumbs
yeah.
falling,
So that's
gravitational pull. Yeah, I
what
got you.
I'm
Wayne
more
and
at.
Alice at Serpentine said there are some beneficial mites you can utilize that I think isopods are safe from. But if you keep springtails, they'll kill the springtails.
Yeah,
That's pretty interesting. That's an
you got
interesting
like
thought.
nematodes.
The mighty mite, like that mite that eats mites. That
Yeah, so you got like
I-
nematodes, right? People are talking about using nematodes to take
oh,
care of
okay.
mite infestation. Well, the problem with nematodes is that if you have isopods and you're using nematodes and then you have tarantulas, nematodes are deathly to tarantulas.
Right.
You get a nematode infestation into your tarantula colony and you can fucking kiss it goodbye.
So there you go. I mean, that could be a dirt crossover issue. So you have that
Yeah.
cross contamination
You just got to
issue
be
there.
very
Yeah.
careful with what you're doing and be
Mhm.
very,
Mhm.
I would say if anything, at the end of the day-
Hypoaspis mites, that's the predatory mites, right? The mighty
Yeah.
mite, hypoaspis.
yeah, but I would say if anything, just start asking questions.
Apsis. Yeah.
Start asking questions until you've got all the answers that you and all the information that you have or that you need to make an educated decision and go from there.
Janelle, get good with these bugs because I'm going to send this guy like some money and he's going to send you a bunch of shit, a bunch of cool shit, a bunch of awesome shit, a bunch of rare shit.
Yeah.
I definitely want to do that. So,
All right.
yeah. Is it aspis or apsis or I don't know how to, I never say it right. Aspis. Yeah, I thought it was aspis, but I could be wrong. She could be right, but she corrected herself. She corrected herself again. So yeah, I don't know. One of us is right. One of the spellings. Yeah, I never felt so lost in a conversation before. So
I feel the same way when you guys talk about ball pythons. I'm like, all right, cool.
Well, at the same time, this is fascinating stuff, isn't it, Jonathan? Isn't it awesome? Let's look at the fucking cool bugs now. Well, let's talk about the gray market. Let's talk about the gray area. Let's talk about the gray area legality of a woodlouse, because essentially, like I said, some of them I've noticed were predatory. Like I've watched one take over another one's colony, whether or not they ate the other isopods or they just ate the food or ganged up on them and scared them. It's like putting a star tortoise with a sulcata as a baby. A star tortoise eats like a champ, but when a sulcata stomps on its fucking face while he eats, the star tortoise is not going to eat. That's just it. The star tortoise is not going to eat. You can put them around. You can put a plate of food down, and the star tortoise is all around the food, and put the sulcatas on the outskirts, and they will not get anything to eat because the sulcatas will stomp their heads in. So I've noticed that, and the predatory potential of them could potentially cause a natural catastrophic situation. Okay. So like, what if let's just say something like what's the most predatory? I don't know. Scabers. What's the most predatory one of them all? Lavis. Let's say Lavis got out in the Pacific Northwest and predated on the natural species of pillbug that is there, natural species of woodlouse that's there. That's what the government's concern would be, because there are so many of these, so many different species of isopod-like bugs around the world. We're just now learning about them, as we talked about earlier in the episode. Yep. You're doing more biological research and information compilation on these than the scientists are, because you have the need and the desire to do it and the profit-driven stance of doing it.
Right.
What do you feel about that? Do you feel that some of these bugs get loose? Like, let's say the Everglades took on like a whole bunch of isopods, got loose in the glades. Like, what would happen in the microclimate of, or the little microcosm of bug life there?
Well, first of
what
all,
would happen?
And just like any industry, whether it's geckos or alligators or whatever you're into, we all have somebody or something that drives us to want to do this. And then at the same time, we have this morals and ethics of how we do things. We all have a responsibility.
Hobby, morals, and ethics. When hobby, passion, profit, and morals and ethics meet, it is a fucking interesting conversation.
Right. Well, we all have a responsibility of making sure that whatever we're doing as a hobbyist in the reptile industry, we do it with the idea that, hey, I'm not going to fuck anything up. I don't want to do anything to the environment, to the climate, to anything that I could personally do that would affect that, especially like in places like Florida or even Louisiana or South Texas, where the temperatures could possibly allow something like that to happen.
Right. Here, I'm not worried about a reptile populace being a problem. I'm not.
Right.
Here. A bug
Right.
populace, absolutely, I would be
Right.
concerned about that here. We have enough heat producing decomposition in the winter to protect most bug life, I would think.
And unless there's like a cold snap that's, gets you into the negatives, the possibility of something flourishing back up in.
Now, I don't see tarantulas flourishing here because of the moisture and stuff.
Right.
I just don't see like fungal issues and shit.
Right.
They would just have a problem. But like in the way of these particular things, some of these kind of freak me out a little. Like some of them are like, well, could I own this? Like, what are my laws in Louisiana for owning this? And man, when I dug, I was like, ouch.
Yeah.
Like I kind of would like to stay away from this hobby if I was trying to stay above board with.
So that brings up
the line.
what a lot of people run into when they get into the hobby is APHIS and the USDA and Fish and Wildlife and their permitting system. So APHIS is designed around the hobbyist taking the next step, and they go like, I want to sell my stuff. You can sell your stuff interstate or intrastate, and it's not an issue.
Right. Once you cross state lines, that's the issue.
Interstate, then you have to deal with your APHIS permits. And the problem with the APHIS permits is that when those were actually first established, there was only so many species that were brought into the fold of that. And there was only
like 5, right? Like there was none.
Yeah,
30. Yeah, it was nothing.
But those
right?
30 were brought
5.
into the fold by the USDA being approached by farmers, and the farmers being under the scrutiny of the idea that these things could kill our crops, which again, that's very valid, because again, we talk about biosecurity. So they don't want anything get into the crop system that could potentially kill it, and then they lose a whole harvest of corn or anything like that. Understandable. But the problem that we have now is that we've gone so far forward and so fast that APHIS and USDA and Fish and Wildlife have not kept up with that list. Now, then you talk about two things, like who has the responsibility? Is it the hobbyist, or is it APHIS and USDA and Fish and Wildlife's responsibility?
Now, is that APHIS system a system that you get permitted through?
Yes. So you get online and you go through the USDA, and it's an APHIS permit. It's a PPQ 526, and you submit to have this permit. So what the problem is, it's so antiquated that it takes forever. But once you get it done, it's done. And then, then you have a secondary problem because you have to do it every year because it expires. And so then if you move, you have to re-permit. And so you do one permit, and then once you get everything right, then you go through and then you do the rest of the permits. And then you have to permit for every state that you want to sell to. So you're basically having to do one permit for your one state. So like you're in Louisiana and I want to sell to Texas. You do that permit, 30 days later, you get approved if you've done everything right. And then once you get the approval, you copy that. And then you go, okay, now I want to sell to Oklahoma. You submit that permit. I want to sell to Alabama. You submit that permit. So you go through this whole process, and it's 50 times over. And it's taxing. The thing that I think that we need to do as a hobby and as a growing hobby.
So what you're saying is that most everybody that's selling isopods is breaking the law because they're not fucking doing this.
Oh, there's a lot of people that have done it. Believe it or not, a lot of people.
Well, I mean, I see Luch is saying that I just got that permit in PPQ 526. I didn't know it expires.
It does.
Yeah. So a lot of people are doing it because they're afraid of the law. But dude, come on.
The idea is the problem is that one, they have such a hard time enforcing it. The other thing that people don't realize, believe it or not, is if you read that permit, it tells you here is a list of species that we consider invasive, and you need a permit for it. So if you look at it and you read it correctly, anything that's not on there, they don't consider invasive.
So they've basically given you the nod.
Pretty much.
In their own unprofessional, non.
Now, here's the thing about USDA and APHIS right now is if you go to the website and you send them a message and you talk to the head of USDA, which his name's Carlos, and you ask him anything about any species that's not on that list, he will fire back an email and he will tell you everything that's not on this list is illegal. And I would say back to him, prove it, because you don't have a list. And you can't tell me that these other things are illegal because you're not allowing me to permit for them. And the problem that I have with it, and like I've said many times over, is if it's illegal, then why do you let me import it? That's as simple as it gets. Because all my paperwork.
Well, I mean, the government answer is because we get a tax on that, but that's the government's answer.
Yeah,
I mean,
we make
you know,
money.
because we get money, because we get paid.
So
And
you
I
can
mean,
sit here
what do you pay importing in the U.S.? 25%? What do you pay? What's
30%.
the bad tax? 30%? Are we that high? Fuck.
Yeah, well, for those, because they're considered crustaceans, it's considered.
Oh, okay.
lobster.
So you're pulling it in under the like seafood permits and shit.
Yeah, so it's basically that's what it falls under, is a seafood.
Okay.
And it's
so
they say
30%, right?
tax
So yeah, you're bringing
seafood,
food product in from another country. Yeah,
yeah,
I get it.
seafood.
Yeah, you're gonna
taxed
have a
at
higher
percentage.
VAT tax. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that
that's
makes a
why
lot of sense.
when you go to Red Lobster, lobsters are so pricey because of the tax.
Right.
So again, like I said, if they're going to sit here and tell me that it's illegal, then why do you let me import it?
Mhm.
And if you let me import it, and I've got a piece of paper from USDA that says my import's cleared, then
you've basically given me the nod, right?
Yeah.
You've signed off on it because
and
otherwise you wouldn't let it in the country.
right.
Does that ever
And
scare you though? You have like
it
fucking
does.
$20,000 worth of bugs coming in, and them assholes
does.
could just say, you know,
Every single
yesterday it
time.
was cool, but today we're putting our foot down.
Every
You know what I
single
mean?
time,
That's
man.
got to scare the absolute fuck out of you, bro.
Every single time.
Really?
And I mean,
that's
like you said, sometimes it's
crazy. That's crazy.
$20,000, sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's 60.
Right.
You know, and then you come in, and I've got my import, and I'm walking through, and I'm like, all right, it's time for inspection. And here's my paperwork, here's my export, here's my invoice, here's my list. I've all submitted it, and then I'm just waiting. And at any point in time, like I until I walk out of USDA.
Didn't you say there was a hiccup in a Thailand shipment or something?
Oh, there's
The
always
last one.
There's always a hiccup. I mean,
Okay.
there's a hiccup from the first one up until the last one. It just happens where, until I walk out of there with that stamp that shows that my import's cleared, it's
shit ain't good till that happens. Yeah. Shit's up in the air till that happens. Yeah. Wow. Well,
let me take a step back though. So, like I said, going back to this APHIS permitting system and USDA, I think as a community and as a hobby, we have a responsibility to come together and do a grassroots campaign to hold them accountable, to make sure that whatever we're doing, if they're going to sit here and point fingers at us, then you go, okay, prove it. And on top of that, if you're going to prove it, I want you to list my species. I want you to do the work to tell me that if it is invasive, that I can permit for it, as long as I'm going to keep it in the traditional means and make sure that it doesn't escape, that I kill anything that I'm not going to sell, that the substrate that I keep it on is going to be quarantined,
irradiated or quarantined after you dispose of it. Right. I mean, and that's really the struggle, bro. It's just like, it's just I see both sides of it, Ben. Like I see your side of it, bro. I do. I see that side of it. And I see, like, we kind of got it with CITES, right? With the master file permits for balls and berms and retics and all that shit. But dude, Brazilian rainbow boas were never on it. Brazilian rainbow boas were never on it because they would never recognize Brazilian rainbow boas as a species that was so prolifically bred in captivity that we shouldn't protect it in its endangered nature in the wild. So even though we're giving you a master file for a retic, a berm, a fucking blood python, a ball python, right? That was, I think, my master file. Bro, I had master file CITES for boa constrictor, meaning I could sell Peruvian redtail, Guyana redtail, Suriname redtail boas and ship them on a master file, meaning I pull the paperwork out of the file cabinet, put it in the typewriter, type it up, fax it to you, you bring it to your government, you get your permit, we ship that fast. Boom, done, right? That was master file. But hey, are Brazilian rainbow boas on there? Nope. Well, how do you do that, government guy? Oh, you have to file a CITES paperwork like you used to back in the day. Are you fucking serious? I got to file one permit where I got to put the buyer's name on it and I have to file it and I have to wait 6 months to get it back. Are you kidding? I'm not going to make this sale. This guy's going to walk. Like, this guy's totally gone. Like, there's no way he's buying this shit. You know who he's buying from? A fucking Canadian. He's buying from a fucking Canadian. Why? Because the Canadian doesn't have these CITES regulations. So you're not dealing with CITES, though. You're dealing with USDA. You're dealing with the agricultural side of the government versus us dealing with the animal, the animal side of it, the zoological side of it. And it's very different, but just as hindering and just as much bullshit.
But,
I see their point because I see so many people that aren't going to give a fuck about the substrate and they're just going to chuck it out the window.
Right. Like I said, we have a responsibility to make sure we're doing the right thing, because that's how you get a permit. You agree to do all these things in order for you to get permitted. And that's listed on there. You know, what do you do with the substrate? What are you going to do if you're not selling anything?
But it's
How
an
do you-
honor system, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can't expect a government, after what's going on in South Florida, that they've like propagated this idea that we all just get sick of our pets and throw them out the window wherever we're driving at that very moment.
But
Like,
I mean, that's the thing.
it's John Bobbitt's dick flying out the fucking window. Like, it's no big deal. Like, oh, we'll just throw this out on the side of the freeway, wherever. It doesn't fucking matter.
Well, the problem is that people will they'll say, look, I need to rehome this animal. And then people will jump out of the woodwork and they go, I'll take it. And they go, well, you know, I want $20 for it or $30 for it. And somebody's like, no, I'm not going to pay for it. And they go, well, then fuck it. I'm going to let it go in the fucking woods. Cause
I ran a retail store, Ben. I ran a retail store for 10 years here. You'd be shocked at how many people called and said, before I throw this thing in the woods, I wanted to call you and ask you. And I'm like, bro, please, just like, and then people on the phone, like, I'm not driving all the way there to give it to you for free.
Yeah.
I'll just throw it outside.
Yeah. And like I said, it's our responsibility.
So whenever they would do that, dude, that's your time to be the ambassador. That's your time to shine and make them feel like a shitbird for doing the dumb shit that they do. Kara, I'm with you. I'm trying not to get to this part of the show because I don't want to go through the website, because when I'm done, I'm going to end up sending him a fucking shopping list. I could spend a couple thousand on Ben's website in 3 minutes. And he knows it too. And he's smiling and he's saying, thank you. Thank you very much. It's part of it.
I mean, what do you want me to say?
What do you want me to say? It's part of it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You too can raise pill bugs and be a pusher like me.
Yeah.
So let's see how he pushes his best game. So we go to isopod.com. We go through even the homepage itself is an adventure. You guys go to the homepage and just check out basically the Instagram that's just been barfed up on the page with all of these tremendously awesome looking bugs. In so many different flavors. But let's go on to the site and let's go to the isopods and let's just click right on Armadillidium and go right through these basics. I personally love the group. They produce very quickly, you guys. They're very easy. Maculatum, the zebra, Klugai Montenegro, Dubrovnik, the orange one I love, or the red one. I think this group is tremendously good for startups, for the guys that want a fast mover that doesn't look like a shitty bug. Because honestly, Porcellio and Lavis just look like shit bugs to me. They don't look like isopods that are cool, although they have really wicked antenna things that stick out the front of their head.
Some of the Porcellio, I think
well, we're gonna see that here in a minute, because I know I'm wrong about that, but I know I'm gonna be completely convinced opposite. But what do you have to say about Armadillidium as a group? Am I right? Am I wrong? Do I give
it's a very, very forgiving species.
Yeah, that's why I've done so well with them.
Yeah, I mean, you can
you can really fuck up guys, and you
can overwater them, or go a little bit longer. Let them dry out a little bit, and they're very forgiving, and I mean, they'll bounce back really, really well. It's a very hardy species to go with, and temperature wise too. I mean, they're all over the board. You can keep them warmer, you can keep them a little bit cooler. Of course, when you keep them cooler, they don't produce as much, but I mean, it's neither here nor there. They get big. I mean,
Big Matt says, I need some. These are cool. That's coming from a 6'6" tank. Yeah. So that's not bad. He's not hurt. It's not hurt his masculinity at all.
One at the top, that Gestroy, those guys get big. I mean, it's a big balled up species.
Yeah, I like the Gestroys. They get probably 3/8 of an inch or so. They really they have good color too. Yeah. And I've found that they're really, really strong, really easy. Really easy to do. So I really do like that group a lot. I like the body types. I think they're nice and big. You can handle them a little bit without crushing them.
Because they roll up like you normally would, like when you were a kid and you go outside and burn them with the magnifying glass.
You don't need to burn them with a magnifying glass, guys. They'll roll up quite nicely on their own. But some of these are really incredible and I've not seen, right? Like, so the Versicolor I think is really tremendous. I love this. I haven't seen that one. There's so many of them that I haven't seen, I know, but that I want.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be a long fucking list of things. If Janelle succeeds, she's going to be like, no more. Don't do it now. Cubaris, the cuties, every woman's best friend, the whole group of duckies and all the others. I could load this page forever, right? Like
Yeah.
how many are on this page? Oh, that's it. That's all. You just have left off like 100 of them. But yes, guys, the infamous rubber ducky. There's the classic ducks, Cubaris, and Cubaris can be frustratingly long term.
Yeah.
Before you start producing them.
It's a game of numbers. I mean, if
Yeah.
you start off with 5 or even 10, yeah, you're gonna be waiting a little bit.
Yeah, you
But
should
once
start
you
off
start
with
getting
20 of these
babies and they
suckers
start
usually.
growing and
Mhm.
exponentially, I mean, a tub of like 30 or 40 can go to a tub of 120, 150 very fast.
Now, I will say I found very interesting. I started putting chunks of Stylophora coral skeletons
Oh,
from
yeah.
the ocean in
Yeah,
with
yeah.
these, and they gravitate towards coral
Calcium.
skeletons. So I've read that they were discovered in like heavy lime infested mines, right?
Yeah.
In their native land. So,
Yeah, so they come from an area where they actually mine for lime for the concrete.
mhm. Okay. So I actually, in my isopod mix, I put coral sand in my isopod mix.
Yeah.
And they seem to have done well with that. I really love, what so the lemon blues are super awesome. The
Yeah.
ambers are very similar to like cappuccinos, right? Like that same kind of color pattern of caps.
Yeah, so I mean, for the
Red
people that don't
Panda,
know,
wow.
the people that don't know, because there are people that I know on the podcast, but the people that don't know me. So my first year in Thailand, I went hiking and just looking around. I picked out a spot and I'm like, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna hike. The very first night I went out, I found Jupiter, which at the time it wasn't named.
Yeah.
It was a really cool looking species, and I was like, wow. And I actually got to name that species when I brought it into the US.
So there you go. Jupiter is him. Where are they?
You got to load more and scroll down. Keep going.
I'm as loaded as more as they'll give me. It's not
Where'd
letting
it
me
go
load
then?
anymore. Let's see.
Go back up.
I thought I saw
I
them
saw
on
it on.
here.
I saw it on the Instagram feed.
Yeah, definitely on the Instagram feed and not on the page. You have so many, you can't keep track of them, son. This is a problem. This is a problem for me in the future. Really, seriously. But I mean, anyway, dude, like the variations of them are so slight. Some of them,
Yeah.
like Amber Panda and Amber Firefly. I see the differences, but they are slight. But then some of them are drastically different. So,
Right.
All right. So Cubaris, much to say about these other than your wife probably would love them.
I mean, it's a funny thing because a lot of people, like you said, they look at it and they go like, I did not know. And it's like with any, like when you get
Go
into
find a Jupiter
geckos or
real
when you
quick,
get
bro.
into ball pythons, they have their own
Jupiter.
personality that they actually grow on you. And you're like,
Jupiter.
I didn't know that this
There
is
you
what it could be.
So this is a Jupiter, guys. This is what he brought in and described by way of life. All right, answer Big Matt's question for him. What's the lifespan like on these?
Anywhere between 3 to 5 years. And like I said,
tremendous for this little baby mug. It's so fucking cool.
You get enough of them, and they're just going to continue to produce.
Right.
That one might die off in 3 years or 5 years, but you'll have babies. And,
one will die, and the rest will hollow out his shell like a fat guy at an all-you-can-eat buffet in Louisiana.
Yeah,
during seafood season. Motherfucker, man, load more and load more and load more. Look at that lava. Or I was going to say lava, but that's very cool. It's not a lava with that neat lining on it. And so many neat ones. All right, let me go back to the species page. I found the Jupiter. There's the Jupiter. This is what our boy named. Very tremendous looking animal as well in its own rights. I saw some at the last show. I didn't buy them because I want to buy them from the man who named them. That's it. Jupiter was a good choice for a name, but like any choice for a name for these things, like Starlight, Starbright, fucking you name them whatever the fuck you want. The names you're coming up with are great. I mean, and the ones like I like Asian people and the names they come up with too. So I have fun with reading what some of them are. So all right, that was Cubaris, all of your duckies and such. Porcellios, the ones that I would say are definitely cool looking, kind of. Expansus is cool.
One of the biggest species, yeah.
Yeah.
Expansus, Magnificus.
What is a Yeti? A Yeti is a no.
No, Yeti is
Yeti's
Cubaris
a
marine.
Cubaris. And
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite ones too. I love my Yetis. I do love my Yetis. I'm sorry, I'm a blue-eyed white snake. I'm not a blue-eyed white snake guy, but I'm a bluish black-eyed white bug guy.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Is that the whitest of the white that you've seen?
I mean, there's several albino species. I mean, like T plus and T negatives are going to be albino.
Right. That's pretty neat that you're
Yeah,
seeing
and then
that
you
in these bugs.
You got Portillo scabbard whiteout. Then you have
Right.
ladies whiteout. So they're all out there.
Yeah, I just was wondering if the whitest of the white of them all. The Yetis I've found have been like mine. They're definitely my whitest of all the ones I've got. But yeah, so you have these crazy antennas on the Portillo species that are really neat, that kind of feel around, that I think are pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
You know, Lavis are definitely, like you said, the most predatory.
Yeah, it's a very protein hungry.
Yeah.
So a lot of people want to they want to do a bioactive. This wouldn't be
Mhm.
something I would recommend for like an egg layer, because they will go in and just devastate an egg.
Yeah, well, they'd go in and eat a gecko egg. They'd
Yeah.
eat through the shell probably in no time.
Oh yeah.
For sure. I'm just gonna bring you guys to.
So this one's actually looking at being reclassified, not outside of Scabber.
I was gonna say, bro, I was gonna show you my picture of my picture on exoticsbynature.com. The only animals on exoticsbynature.com are actually, look at these pictures, and actually these lavas were really nice. I'm pretty sure they're dead now, but they were very nice. They were very, very, very orange.
Yeah.
But so you're saying that they're going to be what, a new species? They're going to be.
It's not a
their
new
own
species. It's
now.
a species that's already out there.
Uh-huh.
They just did a little bit of looking into it, and it actually falls underneath another species. I want to say it starts with an L, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, Adrian, I was looking at the Angry Monk before. Did you see me pull it up on there from the home screen or whatever? I was checking out the Angry Monk. I was like, motherfucker, I want this. I want this now too.
On my
Look at this. No, that's not it.
Where
was that down or up?
It's right below that one. Right below that.
There it is. Angry Monk. That thing is dope. And you took a picture of it on this piece of driftwood with all the colors on it too, which is further enhances what it looks like. I mean, these things are dope, dude. There's no doubt. It's all good, Adrian. I'll bring that shit up again, bro. It's fine. We didn't focus on it, dude. We didn't focus on it. I just brought it up like while he was talking about something and I was just geeking on the site. I just brought it right up. But yeah, so I think you've surprised Big Matt over here with the information. I think on the life expectancy of being 3 to 5 years for such a long time, and that's Cubaris, right? Would be the oldest, would be the longest lived of them all.
I mean, so they're pretty much going to be the same across the board, even with Armadillo DM. But
I didn't know if because of like the speed that Marilynella runs, I was like, these fuckers can't live long. As fast as they move, these fuckers cannot live long at all. They're like, I'm going to do my shit. I do not have time to fuck around with you. I'm going to do it.
That Angry Monk is funny story on that one. That one got its name where it was found is outside of a temple, a Thai temple where these monks were at. And the monk that was out there, the main one, he would come outside with a wooden stick, and he'd be yelling at you, like telling you to get off the property or that you couldn't be there. So he found this when they named it Angry Monk.
Angry Monk. Well, this is what I'm saying. These names correlate. That's why I like the way Asian people name shit. Usually means something. Usually it's
like Blue Pigeon. Blue Pigeon got its name because it was found on the hillside of where this Thai blue pigeon's found. It's the only place that it's found. So
is that what it is? Is that why they call it that? I'm like always wondering why the blue pigeon's called the blue pigeon. I should have called you up and asked you about that because there's not much blue about it, right? I mean, it's kind of an ugly one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a grayish.
It's just gray. Where are we? It's a Cubaris, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Cubaris.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so I mean, let's see where we go. Portillo.
Same thing. Happy Nun. Happy Nun got its name from a nun.
A happy nun. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Hasai High Yellow. These are nice.
Yeah, those
cool.
Those are big species. I love the yellows on those.
Yeah. That's neat. That's very neat.
There's
All
a
right,
chocolate where it's
Kara
brown.
said, "How many do you have in a colony before you sell them?" I asked because I seen out of stock on some. Kara, that's because like you got to be like you got to get in the fold with the guy and like just
Yeah.
rib
And
him on the side and
sometimes when I
say,
list them,
"I
it's like
need this."
gone. But usually I try to keep a colony of anywhere between like 30 to 50. If it
Is that
starts
really a
dipping
name?
below,
Mango sticky rice.
yeah, that's a name too.
That's sweet. So what's that? You said how many?
Anywhere between 30 to 50, because once it starts dipping below that, then it starts to affect the reproduction times. And then, I got to deal with, I don't know. I can't specifically say how to age them. So I don't want to get below that, because then if they die off and I don't have any left, which it's happened, where I
Yeah.
just have like a big group of them just die and then I'm like left with two. Then it takes forever. I mean, case in point, like what is that? Ocencilius Mardi Gras. I had a big colony of that and it pretty much just got devastated. I had two left and I
Yeah.
brought that back to, I think I'm like at a colony of like 30 now.
Hmm.
And that's been out of stock for me forever. And it's not because I don't want to buy them from somebody and then restock them. I think it's more because like I'm hard headed. Like I look at it and I'm like, there's two. I can do this. I can regrow this and I can.
Well, it almost fits to your point earlier of motivational speak. If
Yeah.
you didn't do that, you're kind of a pussy.
Yeah.
Aren't you? Right? Like, aren't you
Yeah.
kind of a pussy if you didn't do that?
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
the
I
same
mean,
thing
I
like
really.
that one in Scabber Whiteout. That was one
Mhm.
of the colonies that I'd given to Terran and it was just devastated. And I had like 3 or 4 left. And right now I'm actually getting close to putting it back on the website as being available because it's taken me that
Mhm.
long to rebuild that colony. back
That's sexy too. I don't know. Like I said, I'll find something in every genus that I like. Now we step on to the next genus, and I'm afraid. I'm very afraid because A, they move fast, B, they're expensive as fuck, C, they're not that easy to do, and
Yeah.
D, they're fine as hell.
Yeah.
Marulinella.
This is a
God
pretty
damn.
it's a
Motherfucking goddamn.
very
Like,
new species that's come into the hobby and it's just
fuck.
kind of exploded. It's
And it's
pushed
out of
to
stock,
bears.
out of stock, out of stock.
Yeah.
$500 fucking dollars for what? 5 of them?
Yeah, 5.
Foo, $100 a piece for these little bugs. That's insane for a wood louse. A louse for a
I mean, these
tree's
guys, though,
louse.
size-wise, most of these guys are going to be big, and you're going to
Yeah.
see them, and they don't hide. I mean, they're going to
Right.
be out and about. They'll be running around.
Oh, they'll be running around where you better watch where you fucking got the stick in the lid because they will run the fuck out. These things are fast as shit.
So they're not.
Everyone else are fast.
They're not fossorial, so they're not going to hide in the dirt. They're going to be up and about and climbing around and all over the place and just looking for food and hanging
Right.
out.
Man,
But yeah,
scrubs.
it's one of those species that if you want something
Look
that
at
you can
that.
display, it's cool, but
Jeez,
it's
okay.
very it's a very intricate way that you have to keep them in order for them to thrive. Which I mean, like these guys, it's going to be a lower temp, a higher humidity, and then a lot of stuff for them to get on top of and climb and just look around. So like for these guys, I keep them usually low 70s to mid 60s, so 65 to 72 around there. You start getting into upper 70s and you're stressing them out to the
Oh
bone.
yeah, I smoked mine and
Yeah.
yeah. I
So then
know.
you
I know why I killed mine. Yeah.
You got to think about them as this way. They come from an area where it's basically a high cloud rainforest. So it's the clouds moving in and out like in fog, and then a constant moisture that's cool. Like if you were in San Francisco on a cool day and the fog rolls in and it gets cold and you're like, I got to put on my jacket. That's
Yeah,
the type of
that's
environment.
their weather.
Yeah.
That's where they're at.
Yeah.
They're in like a cool forest area
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Kara asked, do you have a number you don't like to go above in a colony? Well, yeah, I think especially with Porcelius and stuff, everybody just start smacking on each other.
The Lavis and the Scabbers. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll start to do a gas build. You get into a big colony, and it just
Oh,
depends.
that's true. Yeah, you'll have gas from the excrement and everything,
Yeah,
right?
So I keep the 2 tubs. The main tubs that I keep is a 12.7 and a 28 quart. So usually if they look like they're starting to get too big for my 12.7, I'll cut it in half and I'll put them into 228s and grow it from there. But it just depends on what I'm usually doing. So if I'm looking at it's like a wholesale species like Scabber orange or powder blue, powder orange.
Yeah, those are just terrarium cleanup bugs at that point.
Yeah, so those, I mean, I have I have,
You put
any of
monster
those.
colonies of those fuckers together.
Yeah, but I'll have like 5 or 6 28-quart tubs of just those.
Yeah.
But I try to stay away from anything bigger because they just start to take up too much space. So if I have to cut colonies and to make more, I'm all right with that. But like I said, it just depends. So in a 12.7, I try to stay below. If I can see a visual of, like if it's rubber duckies, if I can see a visual of like 100, then I'm cool with that. If it's a visual where they just seem like they're overcrowded, then I split it up and I'll either do 2 12.7s or I'll move them up into a 28-quart. When I move colonies, a big thing that I don't do is I don't start a new tub. I take half of the substrate that's in the old tub, I put it in another tub, and then I surround it with new substrate because
Okay.
there's
Yeah,
bioactivity.
because you're starting. Yeah, but
bacteria,
you've already got babies in there too.
yeah, and there's bacteria in there that's already been built up that is, to me, is necessary for them because I've done it in the past. I've made the mistake, especially like Murinella, when I got them established, and I'm like, oh, it's too small. Let me start a new colony. I move them all over, and like that, they die, and I'm out. I mean, it's like, holy shit. So I've learned my lesson with that, especially with
No, I mean,
Murinella.
it's more or less cycling like it is for a reef tank or something. You
Yeah.
got to have things there to eat to break the nitrate down and our nitrite down on the nitrate and ammonia down on the nitrite, that sort of thing. You got to have the circle of life to complete itself. And using, once you get started, obviously, you can use, used bedding, if you will.
Yeah.
But
One
guys,
thing
I
about,
want to
like,
bring your
Murinella-
attention to what I had on the screen a minute ago with like Red Diablo, like the patterning on this, where like one of the areas of the actual exoskeleton is a black band and it's perfectly lined out every time. There's 2 dots, then a black band, and then 3 dots.
Yeah.
And then like it's fucking insane how cool and intricately patterned they are and how consistent that they do carry that pattern. Janelle said, I love the look of the Merlinellas. Maybe one day, Janelle, as soon as you're ready, I will fund this project. You and I are partners on this game, and I will fucking stock you up on whatever this man will sell me in this genus because I love it. Like, I think it's incredibly cool. I still think this is the sea monkey of the future, or the sea monkey of right now. People think of isopods just as this bioactive cage cleaner. To me, they're not. To me, this is all about keeping a species of bug as a species of bug. Because Nixon, all the snake guys are going to look at the tricolors and be like, hey, Brenna Stell. If you know Brenna has them. Brenna has tricolors. She's got a few of them. She's been breeding scarlets for a while.
She bought them from me.
Yeah, she got them from you. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I think most of them came from you originally anyway. But
I mean, think like Murinella can climb plastic.
Yeah, it can climb anything. Yeah,
they actually jump.
Yeah, they're an athletic fucking isopod. There's no doubt. I didn't expect that. And actually, Brenna was telling me about it the most. She made me a couple videos of hers scurrying around, and I was really blown away by how fast they were. And then I got some baby scarlets in, and fuck, they were like boop, gone. I saw them once or twice, and then they died from the heat, I think.
Yeah.
So the whole entire genus is very temperature dependent on that cool weather. So there you go, guys. If you're in the snake rooms, you're not keeping these. You're keeping these in your house if you're living like a fat man. So or like a fat man in Louisiana would live at least 65 to 68 degrees. You would do the best.
Fan is always going.
Fan's always going. Yeah, we got to address a few things over here. All right, other species. Let's go into Nesidilias and all these other things like this. Kara, you're welcome. I've actually wanted to do this podcast for a while. And love this. Totally. We're totally talking you out of the most expensive pod you wanted. Kara, that's my job. Okay. I once upon a time, I bought 2 books at a local pet store. All right. I went over them on this podcast before. You're new here, so you haven't seen them yet. One is called All About Iguanas. I never bought an iguana until much later because the book talked me out of it. The other one was ABCs of Marine Aquariums, and that's how I got my start in the aquarium world, was from that book. So by all means, if we are the source of information to keep you spending your money on what you're doing good with, to where you're not quite ready to graduate into these expensive, fast-moving, cold weather.
Hey, well, you bring up a very good point. Hold on, let me stop you there.
Yeah, do it. Jump in.
What if I do a book?
I think you could do a book. I think you should talk to Eco Publishing. I think that he would rapidly accept that as a proposal. I would definitely talk to Eco
like
and
what
let them do
I would like to know. I mean, even if you guys want to message me
the
outside of this,
complete isopod.
what would you think would be what would you want to hear or be able to read in a book that goes like, hey, you know what, I can do this? Or even
I mean, we can start a couple time a month isopod podcast if you really think that the territory needs to be covered. I know Wally was doing some stuff, right? Wally Kern and a few other people. Who do you have on top of your head of reference points right now of what's available other than yourself and being as approachable as you're trying to be? I understand you're trying to be like, hey, I'm isopod.com. That sounds like walmart.com of something or boaconstrictor.com or ballpython.com of something. I am approachable. I'm not those guys, or not yet, not until you make enough money to buy that boat. When you make that much money, then it might be a little bit harder to get in touch with you. Like Reptile Basics all over again, right? Like, where's Rich? On his boat. All right. Boat have a phone? Nope. It's straight out of sight. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know who's on the top or who's in my mind. I mean, I definitely have to sit down and think about it, but I definitely do want to write a book. I just, I don't want to make it seem like the moment that it comes out, it's out of date or the information.
Well, and that's the problem with a book, bro. Yeah. And isopod technology seems to be moving very rapido, bro. Like, it ain't exactly slow. Like, I've seen your site change exponentially just in the last year that I've had my finger on the pulse of bugs.
That's a good point. Funny Royals, yeah. Your travels and where and how to find them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I don't have a problem talking about that or discussing those things. I think there's a lot of stories in there. Believe it or not,
there is. Now we have to also question about the legality of some stories that people tell on podcasts as well. My disclaimer goes hand in hand with that, right? But at the same time, like, we are in this gray area, guys, where at some point podcasts like this could be used as a reference point. But I experienced that with my podcast with the Renix since what happened with the tragedy with Ben. They used a little bit of that material for various news programs and things like that. And so it opens my eyes to the fact that who's to say that the USDA guy that we're talking about said Carlos, right? We've discovered his name is Carlos. That's as much as I know about the man. But Carlos could be just, hey, searching this podcast and saying, let's go and see what's going on with these guys over there in whatever land, right? And at this point, we do become a source of information that could be good or bad for our own environment. So when I did get into the gray area of legality here in isopods, it is a concern of mine as an isopod hobbyist, especially being in Louisiana, a place where we actually do have a law on the books that says you can't have this and this and this. Right. And that I know everybody with a bioactive terrarium has that and that and that. And that I've seen that and that and this at every fucking reptile show I've been to in Louisiana since I've been doing it. And at what point are they going to say, never mind, we don't care anymore, or we're going to throw the fucking book at it? And that's been a concern of mine. So I did think that getting out there, PCF Funny Royals, with too many stories of travels and how these animals are found and how they get here, whether it be by the way of Ben Tans bringing here or someone else, is questionable, right? Because when I did start posting photography of isopods on Facebook, I was approached by Chinese people that were willing to send them to me.
Yeah.
At very good prices.
To me. And I mean, they're not, it's all about the bottom dollar for them. They just want to make a couple bucks. And they don't care about the legality. They don't care about, and this is one of the things that I talk about all the time when it comes to, the brown boxing and the gray area of bringing in any type of animal.
Yeah. And it's a gray market. This is a gray market.
I don't know if anybody's experienced or been close to when somebody has USDA or postal inspector knock on their door for bringing in something illegal. I
haven't. I got my letter from CITES for not labeling properly, and that's enough to tighten my butt.
I know a few people that have had their doors knocked on, and then they disappear. Not because they got rid of them, but because USDA and Fish and Wildlife will confiscate everything that you own, regardless however you got it. And I'm talking, like I said, personal experience, not me. It's
The
happened
bug
to me.
game. This is specifically in the bug game.
They've taken their family pets, talking about dogs and cats that they've had for years, because they brought in a brown box and they got caught brown boxing. They take everything. They don't care. And then what they tell you, that's just like this: unless you follow what we say, we're going to come in and we're going to send you to jail. We're going to fine you to know tomorrow.
Yeah, because I mean, that's fucking
You don't
terrible.
talk-
Like you could
can't
do
talk
some
about it.
terrible fucking damage with
Yeah.
some of these animals, bringing them in and setting them loose on a wild population.
But then they tell them that they can't talk about it because all of a sudden they disappeared. They're like, I don't know.
Oh, really? They're silenced over it?
Yeah, they get silenced over it. And because they want USDA and Fish and Wildlife and postal inspectors want to continue the game. They want people to continue doing these things.
Yeah, so that they can cite you.
Yeah, because that's
they want you to fall into the trap.
It makes what they do valid, right? And I'm not against that. If you break the law, you break the law. You get caught, something's gonna happen.
Right.
But again, it's the idea that people walk this line and they go like, oh, I just did it once. Okay. And I didn't get away with it. But I can guarantee you this 100% certainty. If you bring in a brown box at any point in time, U.S. Postal Service, a U.S. Postal Inspector, and Fish and Wildlife know who you are. They're just waiting for the next time to actually come and knock on your door. So that what they do is they build a case and they go, we're going to let this box go through and you're going to receive it. And you're like, great, I got it. And then if another one comes in, they go like, all right, here's another tick mark for this person. And then by the time that you got a couple of boxes and they've got enough evidence on you, that's when they knock on your door. So again, it's not something to play with. It's not something to trifle with, because I don't want anybody to lose any part of their collection for something that they thought or they think they can get away with once or twice or a couple times to save a few.
Well, the guy was like, hey, I can send them to you like this. And I was like, yeah. No, that's all right. I was like,
I
said, how do you get paid? And he was like, PayPal. And I was like, you don't take crypto? And he's like, no. And I was like, crypto bugs, cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Sorry, player. Can't help you. When you start taking crypto, call me back. Otherwise, no.
Just look around. Look around at your own collections, at what you keep, and then go, is this worth a couple of dollars?
Right.
Is this worth me?
Because it wasn't that much cheaper. Like if I could buy them from you in the States and stuff versus buying them that way, and that's it though. Again, it's like, it's the same level of legality, but yours have already been stamped by them.
Yeah. And I mean, mine come with permits because I have my permits for my stuff. So it's like, how if they follow the trail and they go, where'd you get these from? And they're like, look, here's the permit Ben sends me, because I send one with every one of my boxes. And here's the permit that Ben sends me. They look at my permit and they go like, okay, all right.
I haven't gotten a copy of a permit with any isopod I bought from anybody other than you.
Well,
so there you go. Like I haven't gotten a single one. I don't
like
know.
I said,
I didn't know that there was a permit system that allowed any of you to do what you do.
Like I said, the problem that I have again with
that's all new to me.
It's very antiquated and you have to read it. And if you don't read it, then you're just like, oh, I got a permit. But in the permitting system, it tells you, here is a copy of your permit. This copy of this permit should be sent with every single one of your species that you send out. And that's just how it is. I mean, and then on the list of the permit, it tells you as you're passing this information on. So if I sell to you, you get the permit on the piece of paper. It tells you, please do not dispose of this animal outside. If you have substrate, here's what you need to do in order to dispose of the substrate. So I give you instructions of what to do to be a responsible keeper in the permitting system. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But again, it's just because we live in a world right now where everything's fast. Like I want Amazon to deliver my box tomorrow, so I'm gonna order right now, and here it's here. We live in this fast-paced society. Same thing. I want to binge watch a movie. I'm going to spend the next 8 hours just sitting in front of the TV and just consume all this, right? But we fail to read a lot of things a lot of the time.
It's an on-demand society.
Yeah. And so then again, I guarantee, even if I give somebody my permit, there's probably maybe a handful of people that have actually read what it says on it, because It's just that's just how we live. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm not calling.
No,
people
but at least you're covering your ass and at least slightly covering the ass of the person buying from you in that respect. And I think a lot of people don't consider that as being part of this thing. All right, let's get back to the species. We don't dwell on this too much. He's scaring everybody away.
Sorry, buddy.
Scare all the buyers away. I don't care about the listeners, man. They'll fucking listen or they won't. I'm more worried about scaring away the buyers. So let's get on to something that might make them buy again. Let's go look at ISOPODA, because ISOPODA, where you get into the spiny fuckers from Thailand, that ends up being pretty cool. So you have Thai spikies. You have them out of stock. They're one of the more popular of all the spikies.
Yeah, a lot of that dwarf stuff is hard to keep in, but I mean, there's some of the stuff that
the Super Mario bugs are very cool. I particularly like the shiny gators. I don't know why you have them in stock. It makes no sense to me, because I think they're very fucking cool. Janelle, if you want to try some of these shiny gators, I'll buy these because I really like them a lot. I think they're very cool. I like their little bumpy bodies and stuff. They're pretty dope. And they got kind of Cubaris faces, which is cute. With
that Armageddon. Yeah.
Where are we at? Where's that? Is it on this page? No, it's not on this page. Well, there's your Mardi Gras.
No, you're not on
Dalmatians.
Are you on there?
I'm on the other page. Is there another page?
No.
Specials? No.
Let me see where it's listed at. Let me pull up my website. 1 second.
Bruce cones, limestone. Oh, you're importing pods. Loofah. Look at that. You're importing all kind of stuff. Pods.
Yeah, I started doing a lot of
gourds
stuff.
Yeah. Sweet gum pods. I got these by the ton at the house. I gotta start collecting them. I'd pay my kid to pick them up.
Yeah, it should be there.
What page? This page?
Yeah.
The specials page?
No. It should be under other species.
Others. Which one did you say? Armageddon?
Yeah, Armageddon.
Oh, there it is. Armageddon. There we go. I missed it. That's the orange one. Nope.
Yeah.
Damn it. I got to the crocheted guy. The crocheted duck. There we go. Armageddon. Tiny motherfuckers, too. These are the ones you sent me the picture of when you got them on the last import. And you were like, these things are tiny.
But they're super cool, man.
2.5 millimeters long.
Yeah.
Good God, sir.
Yeah, there's another one too that I just listed that's been doing okay for me. It's called China, and it's just it takes its name from the dinosaur that had the it looked like a roly-poly with the spikes on the side.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's that one. Now it's a dwarf as well. I just listed that one the other day. See if it's on there.
Yeah. On this page?
Yeah.
Shiny. What is it? Fancy gator. My fancy gator compared to the regular shiny gator. Yep. Just a colored one. Yeah. I don't see the one you're talking about. Ancient gator. Blue. Death feigning beetles. Are those things cool?
Yeah, I mean they're cool to have. Yeah, refresh that page. I had to click on it real quick.
Refresh. We got him updating his site as we go.
There you go. It's that first one.
What's that?
The very first one on the top left.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Chania. Huh. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole ISOPODA group, very neat. Here's the long spikes. These are very tiny as well, though, right?
Yeah.
Like the ivory spikies and stuff are itty bitty. Like,
yeah, and the thing about a lot of these is it's a catch-all. So Isopoda is usually listed as a species name when they're undefined. Not to say that they haven't been discovered. It's just haven't done the legwork to actually figure out what they fall under.
Yeah. White skull. Yeah, long spiny fuckers.
Yeah. And again, small species.
We gotta get you a tighter lens, bro.
Yeah.
What are you shooting with?
I have a Canon M200 with a 50 millimeter.
What's a 50? Yeah, you need 100 10,
Yeah, I've been
90 to
wanting to
110.
experiment with getting into like layering the photos and trying to get like a full focused in tighter areas. So
Yeah.
it's just time.
Well, I think it's time for me to buy the Sony lens for the camera that I bought earlier this summer.
Yeah.
And I will get to you on that and tell you how well it works, because the pictures that I took on the site, on the EBN site, this was a 60 millimeter macro by taking wide shots and cropping the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Like taking wide shots, and these came in pretty nice focus though for being wider shots. You know, I mean, they came in pretty nice, but they still have that haze to them. You know?
Right.
And look how
Yeah.
smart
So that's why I
you can
said
see all the
I want to start
mold and
looking
shit.
looking at stacking photos and stacking the.
Yeah.
It's time consuming.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt that that's, a big part of it. Anything else? Other species you want to cover? Anything else you want to throw in their face?
No, I mean,
as a grand scheme of what are these?
oh, pill millipedes.
Yeah.
So originally I brought these in a bunch of years back. They actually came in on an accident.
Oh God, these are fucking neat.
Yeah, the problem with
And
these
these
is the
didn't.
pill millipede is very hard to keep.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to have fermented dirt for these.
Yeah, so keeping them and getting them to thrive,
fermented wood.
getting them to
Yeah.
thrive was completely impossible. So I've committed to myself.
Man, they're
that
so fucking cool.
Until we
though.
can figure out
Wow.
how to do this, I won't bring them in again.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, like, do you work with fermented dirt at all? Or fermented wood at all? Have you done anything with it? Because I think the process is fascinating of using barbecue pellets to make it in mass production. I think that somebody could truly make a fucking incredible product line from it. I see the guys selling it, but the guys that are selling it so fast that they couldn't possibly market it in any way, shape, or form. But you literally have to take it down and roll it around,
Oh, it's like beer,
you're fermenting it. Like you're literally
you got to have kegs
curing
behind kegs in order to keep up with the demand, and it's just
So I bought a few things. Like I've talked to a few people. Like I talked to one guy who's using like the screw top ring lids for 5-gallon buckets, and he's snapping the lids on over like cheesecloth to where he can like unscrew the lid and roll it and leave it to ventilate or close it. I thought that was a pretty neat method. And I'm thinking to myself, we should make a machine that shakes it. We should make a fucking machine that rolls it, where you literally could just drop a 5-gallon bucket on the machine, let it roll it every day. Because you got to roll a shit every fucking day.
Every day.
Right? So guys, this is what you do. You take barbecue like pellets, like wood pellets, and they mix in like a 5-gallon bucket of wood pellets. They put in like a bag of bran flakes and then like a little bit of yeast to start the process. But you got to break the pellets apart first. Soak the pellets in a little water to break them up in the sawdust, and then you mix the bran flakes in, and then you put the yeast on it, and you literally ferment the dirt for like 3 months, and it makes millipede food. Like it literally makes fully digestible, bioactive, full dirt, like real awesome stuff. So that's the secret that I've found, that I've heard from millipede people and all that stuff. That's probably the secret for these fucking things.
Maybe, but it's like with a lot of things.
Fascinating though.
I leave some of this stuff to other people to discover.
Well, sure. You can't do it all.
Can't do it all.
Leave it up to people like me to lose their ass trying to do that. Jack of all trades, master of none. But then you have that one guy that I wrote that on the forum, on Facebook the other day. And the one guy piped up with the rest of the actual saying, and I actually felt good, right? That was 2-hour post. Weren't you a part of that?
Oh,
it was just like master of all trades, and I was like, yeah, but I was the master of none, and the guy posted up follow up, and it said, oftentimes better than a master of one, and that's actually the full saying, but most people don't know it. And I was like, wow, somebody that knows the full saying. I don't usually bother with it, but it's like try to make my dig on myself actually made me feel better about myself. And I was like, damn, dude, I was trying to dig. I was trying to insult. I wasn't trying to feel better. Yeah. Oh, you had them on the specials page. You had the Sakiana,
Okay.
Sakania, whatever. Bro, I would like those. Let's hook up something with that. Let's hook up a package for Janelle to start taking care
Tell
of
me
something
when,
like
man.
that.
Tell me when.
No, like literally like this week, like
Okay.
tomorrow, tonight,
All right.
yesterday. But yeah. So everybody, you can check out isopod.com. This has been a very, very lovely and long spilling podcast. I mean, I do them all for 2 hours or more, but I got to tell you, this one's packed with information, packed with good soaking up stuff. You can get all kind of bioactive supplies for all of your needs on his site as well. If you want to jump into that, some very cool different pod selections you've got that I haven't even seen before. Good to see these on here though, because I see them in my yard every day, and I'm like, damn, these things would be perfect for isopod tanks. But I never see many people selling them. But now I see you selling them, so I don't feel so bad.
What is that?
These sweet gum pods.
Oh yeah,
these guys. Right, the tree on my neighbor's fence is like probably 35 and 40-foot sweet gum tree.
Oh, yeah.
So we get the fuck of these. Like we get the actual fuck of these. They had an absolute ton of them. So I'll probably start collecting these. I'll start wholesaling you supplies. Look, no, I'm not doing that. There's so many different pods and stuff when you get into like the floral companies and all the decorations and all the shit that they sell, like the lotuses and all that shit, you know, and people are like, those are magnolia pods. Yes, those are magnolia pods and all that. Janelle took notes. Janelle will be talking to you closer because it'll be, you know, her part of being a partner. I was like, I'll pay for everything if you do all the rest. At this point, it's kind of like I've stooped to that level. Thank you very much, SK Productions, for saying great show. I think this has been a wonderful show, Ben. I hope you got your word out that you wanted to.
Listen,
and I would like to do more with you.
Let me say this before anything else. I just want to, I mean, wholeheartedly, I say thank you every single time, every single day for everybody that pays attention, that asks questions, that wants to get into the hobby, that looks for information. You know, visiting my website, it's a blessing. I appreciate everybody's feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. I'll take it. I take suggestions all the time. And I'm always looking to continue to grow the hobby. By all means, just reach out, send me a question. Even if you reach out and just say, hey, thanks for everything, I appreciate every single word. This year should be very interesting for isopod.com, for the isopod community and the hobby itself. I've got a lot of things coming up and a lot of interesting trips that should be happening here pretty soon.
Fucking selection you've got already is too much. Have you ever been told that whenever somebody's trying to buy something that you just have too much to choose from? Therefore, I just put your website on the side and when I'll come back to it later, and never bought a fucking thing. It's one of those things where, like, that's why Raising Cane's has popped up. Raising Cane's was started here like 20 minutes from here. So, you know, Raising Cane's pops up everywhere with chicken fingers only. You want a chicken sandwich? We got some bread. We'll put chicken fingers on a fucking piece of bread. We got bread, we got chicken, we got fries, and that's it. You have a lot of different types of chicken, son. You got too many different types of chicken. All right. And so for that, I want you all to go to Instagram.com/isopodcom. No dot in there, isopodcom, and check out the fucking phenomenal photography and colors of these bugs. And tell me you don't want some shit like this in your house. Like, that's a bad motherfucker right there. You got any of those? Put me some aside. I'm not kidding. Like right now, Sarah, I'm telling you, I want some of those. I want that other thing you just put up. Yep. I want all that. I definitely want some Jupiters from you. I think she can start that shit. I wouldn't mind some of these blue, lemon blue things. You know, I like the pretty stuff. I want an amber that looks like the amber in the wild. I don't want an amber like everybody else's amber. So I want that amber. I want that one. That one's fucking stunning. I mean, really, dude, if you guys cannot find a little armored, multi-eyeballed, but like, wouldn't you want to be this guy for a day? Like, I wonder what he thinks about. Like, really, he thinks about shit.
Those
I wonder
first
what he thinks
three,
about.
I know he's like, man, my ass smells good.
Yeah, for sure. Serpentine says, great show. I love macro photos of creepy crawlies. So this was all eye candy. Yeah, and I don't have that many macro photos on my website, but I do have a few of them on exoticsbynature.com. You guys can go check them out. Lasers are also very cool for Cubaris. It's another one of my little blue and yellow favorites I really love. This is phenomenal right here. Yellow dust. Cubaris is really where it's at, guys. I think you could build an entire one. Put in care sheets with them. I want to make sure I do it right. There you go. Put in care sheets with them, she says. Leave it up to her, who manages all the animals for the Louisiana State University of Veterinary Sciences. That's her right there. So I'm very thankful to have her on my ISOPOD team. I'm feeling kind of lucky. I'll feel even more lucky when she's like, dude, these things are falling on my ass. We need to sell some. I'm going to be like, look out, Ben, we need to sell some. God damn, dude. Every other second I see another one that I wouldn't mind looking at.
Yeah, this is one of the first Miranellas I brought in to the US.
That one? Yeah. That's fucking gorgeous.
It's funny though, because that one used to sell when I first brought that in, that was $500 for a 5 count. Now they're like $50 for a 5
Well, yeah, I mean, that's going to happen though, because it is a supply versus demand situation with these animals.
I mean, that's why I tell anybody, it's like, just give it time. And so I said, I want everybody to be successful. I'm not mad that they sell for $50. I'm proud of that, because it means they thrive and people have them.
For sure. I mean, it would be lovely if they still sold for $100 a bug, for fuck's sake. I mean, you'd be printing money, but we wouldn't be able to have you on this podcast, bro. You'd be like, bro, I'm too busy in my hot tub with all these strippers and stuff, because my girlfriend left because she just tired of counting money. My girlfriend left me because she counted too much. What's that?
I said, I'm never too busy for you.
Yeah. Honestly, you've never been too busy for me. SK Productions says, thank you, Sean, for all the fire guests. I appreciate that. Actually, they are the fire here. I just happen to have known them most of my career. So I try to bring you guys both people that I know and don't know. I have several of the guests that I've had on that I had no fucking clue about. This guy's history in bugs, I never really had a clue about. I just know he was cool, and he was a cool motherfucker, and he sold me a metal spider, this cool spider that I'll try to get some photos of and share at some point. That's made of railroad spikes. They're all welded together. It's a tarantula. It sits outside my front door, and it bites more people than anything else here, bro. That fucking that metal tarantula fucks up more people that run into it with their legs and shit. And like, it just, you don't see it. It just cloaks itself on the ground. And because it's rusty, it just blends in, and people walk into it. But if you guys see this logo around, it's tattooed on his arm. I saw it a couple of times in this shot. Yeah, I saw it a couple of times. I can't wait to put this on a bunch of shit, right? Like, I'm going to make you a sign, and I'm going to make you a cup, and I'm going to make you, and I hope I did a better job tonight of do not interrupt. I hope I did a better job. I didn't do a fully great job, but hopefully I did a better job, and that you guys will see this logo more and more this year. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see ISOPODcom written on your credit card statement, and maybe a care sheet in a box and all that great stuff. Honestly, put a slow and fast rating beside them too. I've seen this on several websites, and I will say this, that there have been several, I think, most of it, I'll be honest, I know nothing about these bugs. So every bit of care information on my site is a copy and paste from either this guy or one of the European websites that has a lot of information on it. But I definitely want to see you guys hit the like button and the subscribe button for more podcasts like this, and to bring Ben back for more information on isopods in the future. And maybe, just maybe, Ben and I get to do a podcast together about all kinds of fun stuff.
Hey, I was going to tell you too, if you go to my isopod Instagram, there's a video on there on the very top one that goes over care just of Miranella.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I saw that. Was that
yeah, so for like Kara, if you got concerns or anything like that, seriously, you go on there. I walk you through how I keep them.
I notice on the home page you have listings. Is this it? Is this it here? No, from Miranella Tricolor 2.0.
Yeah, if you watch that video, it's basically like a 6-minute video of a walkthrough.
Added comfort in keeping Miranella. All right, yeah, check this out. Go on there. It's probably easier to find it just going to the website.
Yeah,
directly. The website link is in this video description. Please go down there and check on it. Click on it. Isopod.com. You can get all this wonderful information and these great photos on Instagram all in one spot. I kind of like, I don't have to go to your Instagram. I can just go to this page. It's actually easier to go to this page because I can see them all laid out in cubes like this, and I have to scroll
I
through.
always like shares and follows. I love it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you're not doing too bad. 2,700 followers. I think we could probably work on this all together. My numbers are very low, too. Lower than I'd like. God damn, that thing's nice. Fucking angry monk. Fucking angry monk. All right. Yeah, you were right about that, bro. Like, angry monk is where it's at now. Adrian was right. Adrian, thank you for coming. Thank all of you bug folks, Kara, Adrian, a couple other people that are very unique to this podcast that have never been here before. If you'd like to expand your mind a little bit more into the realm of reptiles and the industry, please come back to my channel for more history and walk down memory lane that I do with some of the old guys when they can contain themselves.
Again, thanks, guys, everybody. And Sean, thanks
long, uncomfortable silence. Absolutely, Ben. Hang tight for me just a minute, and I'll get a couple of minutes from you post-show, and thanks again. All of you, this was a great show. This was a good evening. So we will definitely do some more work together. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Well, there you go. Ben's been a friend and a co-conspirator in this reptile and bug game for so many years that I just am glad that we get to give him some time in the sun. Thank you very much to you guys that are unique that came here. Inquiline, thank you very much for coming in tonight. Have a good night for you too. I caught you on a couple other podcasts and stuff this week. You guys are all very busy. Everybody's got their own little groups of social people that they're spinning around on. And it seems like everyone's either got a podcast or becoming a guest on one. So take it from me, when I started this whole Ballsh podcast 8 years ago now, almost 8 years ago, I didn't expect to see this level of diversity in the game of podcasting or really in the game of reptiles altogether. So I truly thank you all. Mind blown tonight, Serpentine. And look, here we are. Serpentine, Wayne, and Alice have been here several weeks, and they came in tonight with some knowledge of isopods because they're already in the hobby like I am, already kind of ate up with these little bugs. Busy, but always stop in on your shows. Keep up the great work. Thank you, SK. I appreciate it. I'm trying to continue to keep this ball rolling forward despite what outside forces tend to have been at work against me these last few months. But I will tell you, I do appreciate all of you. Please subscribe, like the channel, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss. I don't ever really go impromptu live, so I guess there's nothing to miss yet. But in the future of me working on these machines and bringing you through all the cool cutting out of all this fun stuff, I mean, I think I like watching machines. Like I could sit there and watch this. Now, granted, this whole entire sign in multiple layers with all this intricate detail it only took 20 minutes to cut all of this material on that laser. So it doesn't take any time at all, but it's almost soothing to watch it go around. So I hope that I can share some of the machining with you guys here in the future as being just yet another interesting thing that you don't get to see that we all use in our homes, in our reptile collections, in our bug collections. And honestly, what I would love to do is I'd love to try to find the perfect isopod cage for them, like with this guy. I'd like to find the perfect bin that we either build or import for isopods it's like isopod.com approved, stamped. Keep this as a pet. Don't put it in a bioactive setup. It's not for your gecko to occasionally snack on. It is something you're specifically doing with a goal to do that. And Serpentine says, this is even crazier. We don't have isopods. I'm just a bug nerd, Alice, that does pest control with beneficial insects. And that's pretty awesome that you use bugs to patrol the other bugs. It seems like it's almost a Disney Pixar film with Woody Allen or somebody in it. It's definitely one of those moments where you're into it. So Will says, I'm down for the machining and the laser. That's good. You'll be one, you and Paul from that I had on earlier in the season with 3D printing. You and Paul will be the only motherfuckers that watch. But whatever. All right. So now I'm starting to get alerts that are going to come in and make noise for our broadcast. So that's telling me it's time to go. So good night, guys. I hope you all have enjoyed the show. I'll flash this one more time real quick. Warning. We've had some really great opinions here tonight. If you want to learn how to be a gangster, motivated motherfucker like this guy I had on tonight, listen to the earlier part of this show again and again and again and again. And maybe you'll get it. I might when I'm editing this stuff for the audio version. So get on the audio versions too, guys, and hear what you didn't hear here. All right. Good evening. Y'all have a great night. I thank you very much for coming around. All righty. Take it easy.